Ford dealer in your area. Which contest I was into? You was entered into a contest to win a Ford F-250. Yes. Yeah. Wait, who is this? Where is this? We're with a promotional company for Ford dealerships.
Just 18 hours after, yeah, I hit all. Just 18 hours after, yeah. Whoever feeds you controls you. Money buys peace, not happiness. Spiritual life, it's harder than physical. Big money never comes clean, clean. Money never comes clean. If you get me, you get that day and night. Just cry even if no one is there for you. Education. Y'all hear what she said? Listen to what she said. Whoever feeds you controls you. Money buys peace, not happiness. Spiritual life, it's harder than physical life. Whatever was meant to be, will be. So stop stressing about things that are beyond control. Being everywhere, getting nowhere. Our parents also try not to be poor. Big money never comes clean and clean. Money never comes clean. Calendar is fake. We only have day and night. If you feel to cry, just cry, even if no one. You hear what she said? Whoever feeds you controls you. Money buys peace, not happiness. Spiritual life is more harder than physical life. Whatever will be to be, will be. Stop stressing over things that you can't control. Being everywhere gets you nowhere. Our parents also try not to be poor. Big money never comes clean and clean. Money never comes clean. Everybody say we only have day and night. If you feel to cry, just cry, even if no one is there for you. Peace, 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 beloved. Nothing to do with wealth. Even selling your own kidney, you need connections. Tomorrow is not promised. Nothing is yours, not even your life. Just live. One day will start without you. Whatever feeds you controls you. Money buys peace, not happiness. Spiritual life, it's harder than physical life. Whatever it's meant to be, will be. So stop stressing over things that you cannot control. Even if they get you nowhere. Our parents also try not to be poor. Big money never comes clean and clean. Money never comes clean. Is fake. We only have day and night. If you feel to cry, just cry, even if no one is there for you. Education has nothing to do with wealth. Even selling your own kidney, you need connection. This song is powerful. Tomorrow is not promised. Nothing is yours, not even your this life. Just live. This is the kind of music I like right here. Whoever feeds you controls you. Money buys peace, not happiness. spiritual life hits harder than physical life. Whatever was meant to be will be. Stop stressing over things that are beyond your control. Being everywhere gets you nowhere. Even our parents try not to be poor. This is big money never comes clean and clean. Money never comes big. We only have day and night. She said the calendar is fake. We only have day and night. This type of music, spiritual music. This song is called "The Hard Truth" by Jubet, Jubet. It's called "Hard Truth." I posted something on TikTok, and you know how TikTok gives you music. TikTok just gave me this song to post to something. They just gave me the song, and I posted it. And then I went back and I listened to the lyrics, and I said, "How did TikTok know that this is exactly the type of music or exactly the type of theme that I needed to go behind my song?" That was like 4 days ago. Now this song is viral. I can't make this up. And the minute I heard it, I said, "This is." I don't know what made TikTok know that this was for me. You said no. She said He said the calendar is fake. We only have day and night. I take that as time in its existence. Either it's light or it's day. Time is not real. I believe that's what he was saying more than anything in that lyric. When he said the calendar is fake, we only have day and night. I believe that's saying basically like time. Time is an illusion. We can only gauge time on what we can see, and we only can see day and night. So anything in between day and night is false. It says, yeah, this lady was born before. Well, I did not put the thing on the chat where only people who subscribe could comment. So we may have a little trolls in here. Y'all have to be y'all have to be cautious. I did not put the commentary only for people who are subscribers. So I did kind of inadvertently, unbeknownst to myself, invited the trolls in. So we have to be conscious. The trolls are here. They're allowed to troll without subscribing today. I forgot. I just realized that I didn't do that when I looked at the comments. Did I ever read the book As a Man Thinketh? Yeah, I read that book. I would like to read it now that I'm more spiritual. I read that before my spiritual awakening. I probably read it in the 90s. Who is that? Is that Dale Carnegie or Napoleon Hill? I forgot who wrote As a Man Thinketh. It's Dale Carnegie maybe or Napoleon Hill. I read it a long time ago. But a book like that I would like to read again since I became spiritual. Oh, you reading that right now? Oh, James Allen. There you go. Yep, James Allen. Yep. Yeah, I read it a long time ago. Certain books, like that's a book I would still order today and read it over again and keep it in my collection. It is a book I would keep. I would definitely keep that book and read it again. I might have read that in the 90s, in my late teens, early 20s. I would love to read it again because you miss so much when you're younger and you're not spiritually awake, your third eye isn't open, and you're not spiritual. You read things and you don't fully understand them until your eyes is open and you're really able to see. So I would love to read it again. What about the Book of Wisdom from the Bible, or is a book called the Book of Wisdom? If you're talking about the Book of Wisdom from the Bible, then of course. But I've never read another book of wisdom outside of the Bible. The Book of Wisdom, no, I never read that. Oh, in the Bible, yeah, I read, yeah. Wisdom is Sophia, man. Wisdom is Sophia. I love the Book of Wisdom. It's one of my favorites. The Book of Wisdom and the Sirach. The Sirach is only in the Catholic Bibles. The Sirach is not in the King James Bible. But yeah, the Book of Wisdom, powerful, powerful. Wisdom is Sophia. Wisdom is what we call the negative energy or the feminine energy. It is the counterpart to physicality. I think the other part of wisdom is action, like to do. Like spirit on the opposite side of spirit is
is matter, physicality. Wisdom is thinking, thought process, emotions, spirit, breath. Check out the art of in the book of the five rings. Check out the art of war. I read the art of war by Sun Tzu. I read that before. The book of the five rings. I didn't read that. If I may ask, what made you change? What if I may ask, what made you change to be spiritual? I was how can I was forced to change. As far as spirituality, though, it's been in my spirit. It's been in my soul. I was always into ancient aliens. I always believed. Not I don't want to say believed in. I always knew aliens exist. I always knew when I watched Star Wars and Star Trek, and I seen some of those the different realms of reality, some of those different entities. I knew that they exist. I knew that they exist. I knew that I had seen them before. I knew that I experienced places like that. So I guess I've always been spiritual. But when I was running the streets and I wasn't, living by the laws of spirituality, I wasn't living in the light. When I rejected Christ, when I rejected those forms of spirituality, even though I didn't practice it, I always been spiritual though. Always. I always had friends who was into witchcraft or who was into Santeria. They would always come to me. Their family members always wanted to speak to me and give me words of wisdom. So I don't know. It was like it was in my spirit. So I didn't really change. What made me start living it was when I had my spiritual awakening. When I had my spiritual awakening. My whole life, I always quest for knowledge. I always wanted to know where people came from, why we live the way we live, why we move the way we move. I was always curious. And when those brothers woke me up and gave me a spiritual awakening and helped me awaken and remove some of the spirits from off of me, um, I'm not gonna say I didn't, but I tried my best not to go back to living, physical. Try not to be so much of a physical being and try to be more of a spiritual being. I couldn't go back to that. Righteousness. A man has to right himself to find that the universe is right. Makes a lot of sense. You have to go within. If when you look without searching in the universe, then you go within and you find the universe. And when you go without, as far as you go from yourself to look for God and to look for planets and look to the ends of the earth and the ends of the universe, the more you realize when you go within is already right there within you. Ecclesiasticus, yes. Um, he that feareth the Lord will do good, and he that has the knowledge of the law shall obtain her. Oh, wisdom. Sounds like you already know about Gnosticism. Yeah, I would consider myself a Gnostic Christian. I wouldn't consider myself a Christian, but I would call myself a Gnostic Christian. I would. If I had to take a religious title, you know what I'm saying? If I had to take a religious title, but Gnosticism isn't religion though. They were deemed heretics. They were deemed heretics by Francis and the popes of the time. They were dealt heretics because of their teaching. But yes, Gnostic is to know. It's not a belief. You be like, yo, I believe in God. You have to know in God. Or I believe in Christ. You have to know in Christ. You understand what I'm saying? I believe in heaven. To believe is to, have faith or belief in something that you don't know. You have to know. And that's why I love the Gnostic teachings, is because I appreciate you. Thank you for the gift. You have to know. The Christians are the Israelites in the Bible. I'm glad you know. You need to tell them that. They should know. Christ wasn't a Christian, he was an Israelite. And the Israelite is not a people who believe in certain rituals, because we know, right? Even when the Israelites was lost in the desert, if you believe the story, they was lost in the desert for 40 years, and they worship bulls, they worship Baal, they worship Moloch, Moloch. Baal, Moloch, Beelzebub. They worshipped a lot of shit, right? But still, they were still Israelites. So we know that the Israelite belief is not just believing in Yahweh or Yahweh. We know that that is not what an Israelite is. It is a birthright. It is a soul group. They were born that way. They were born with that spirit from that creator God. That's who they belong to. So it's not a religious belief system. That's what people think. And if you listen to the word, they would not even know who they are. And the true Israelites don't know that they're the Israelites. And there's one particular race of beings on this planet who don't know who they are. They are the lost tribe. But it's not a race thing and it's not a religious thing. It's a soul thing. You have to emanate from that soul. You have to emanate from that oversoul. You have to emanate. I have to read my Bible more. I do. You never could read it too many times. I read it over 10 times front to back. Multitude of versions, different concordances, the Talmud, the Torah, the Quran, you name it, I done read it in multitude and multitudes of time. It's not about how many times you read it. It's about if you understand what you're reading. It's not about reading it. I don't care how many times you read it. I probably read it over 10 times, cover to cover. That still don't mean nothing. There's somebody who call himself a religious scholars and still don't understand scripture like I understand the scripture. I don't care how many times you read it. So don't tell me to read it again. Tell me to pray for insight because I read it a multitude of times. Reading it is not what gives you the insight. The insight and discernment has to come from the spirit. You can read something 1,000 times. It has to come from the spirit. Only the Most High Creator could give you eyes to see what you're reading. You know how many Christians I know read the Bible, was raised in the church, been reading the Bible their whole life, and I may have read it 10 times front to back, but there might be Christians out there or Muslims out there or Jews out there who may have read it more than me. They might have read every version there is to read, the New Revised, the Ethiopian Bible, because I done read a multitude of them. I sat in the cell. I don't know if you knew here, but I sat in the cell for over 18 years, and I spent 9 years altogether in solitary confinement. And there's been times where I've sat and had 7 different versions of the Bible. I done had a Catholic Bible. I done had a Catholic Multi Bible, a New American Catholic Bible. I done had the Vulgate, the Sedgetucket I done had in my hands. I done had the Ethiopian Bible. I done had the King James version, the New Revised version. And I done had all 7 of these Bibles turned to all 7 scriptures with a biblical concordance. And you know how many times I've read it and missed something and then prayed and meditate. And what I was thinking about, I opened my Bible up to the exact page of the exact story. That's discernment. So you can read it a multitude of times. I sit here with a Christian who may know the Bible more than me, or a theologian who may know the Bible more than me, and they still didn't see what I saw. It's not what you read, it's what you understand. It's your spiritual comprehension, not your reading comprehension. So don't tell me to read it. Tell me to pray for discernment. Tell me to pray for understanding so I know exactly what I'm reading. Don't tell me to read it because you can read it a million times. That doesn't make you understand. It has to resonate in your spirit. It has to. No, I'm trying to get him or whoever that is. That's why sometimes it's good when the trolls are in here. I'm trying to get him to understand that it doesn't matter how many times you read it. You have to have discernment. You have to. You have to. It doesn't matter how many times you read it. You could be raised reading it. People are raised reading it and still don't see, what I've saw. And again, I don't have religious debates with people, so I don't I don't attack what people believe when they read something, but what I have done, I have asked particular questions, and then when the question is not asked right, then I'll show what I read and get their interpretation. And again, there's no right or wrong because a lot of things are based on interpretations. The scripture could say something blatantly, and sometimes some people will say, "Well, don't take it literal." And then there's times where things are said where people take it exactly literal, that it means exactly what was said. So That's an interpretation. That's perception. So if you're taught something in the Bible, if you're taught, for instance, about the Holy Trinity, and you're taught that the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit are separate, no matter how much I can show you that they're the same, you're not going to believe they're the same. If you're taught they're the same, and somebody who's taught that the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit is separate, no matter how many times we read the Bible, it's not going to change either one of our perceptions because you were taught that they were separate, and I was taught that they're the same. So it doesn't matter. If you were taught that we are God's children, and no matter how many times, Jesus could say, well, you're the children of Satan, right? Or you're not God's children. If you're taught that we're all God's children, no matter how many times in the Bible where even Christ has said, for I tell you, you are children of the Father, and your father is Satan, then, no matter how many times I read something or you read something, you're going to have an interpretation of what that actual scripture means and what it was meant to say. So it's not about reading, it's about interpretation. It's about having discernment. We could read the same exact thing. We could read the back of a dollar bill and you can get the words exactly how they meant it, and I could tell you what they really meant. Right or wrong. It's all about interpretation. Just the other day, there was a newspaper. I had it in my car. It's about a girl. She unalived her mother in Queens, in New York. It made the Daily News. It was on the front page of the Daily News. It's maybe about 2 days ago. And on the front of the paper, it said she was fighting with her demons. This is what it said on his newspaper, right? It says she was fighting with her demons. And then you read the story. She used a knife to unalive her mother. Then she used a knife to unalive herself. Now, what it's saying, she was fighting with her demons, and then in the small captions, it said, this 23-year-old woman was fighting with mental health issues or whatever the case may be, right? And then you can read the article as I did. And in the article, it began to say that she complained about hearing voices. Hold on, I'm gonna go over to the chat. I'm gonna read y'all messages in a few seconds. But I just wanted to make this point about perception and the difference between reading something and having discernment to really fully understand what's being read. Because it's not how many times you read something or your academics, you know, how far what's your IQ test, what's your IQ and how good you read, or it's all based on having an eye, a spiritual eye. I'm gonna show you. That's why I'm using this example. So it said 23-year-old girl used a knife to unalive her mother, then unalived herself. And it said in big caps, she was fighting with her demons. And then in small caps, it said 23-year-old had mental health issues. When you go to the article and you read the actual article now, it's going to tell you friends and family members were saying that she was hearing voices and the voices in her head was telling her to unalive her mother. It goes further to say that a few years prior to her unaliving her mother in that same apartment building, there was a how do I say it, an unalive suicide or unalive, and then somebody unalived themselves 2 years prior to that, right? So this is right in the Daily News. Just you could Google it. It was in Queens. So one could read that, and I could say to you, I don't know the brother's name who was in the chat who said that, but I could say to you, well, what did that say? What do you take from that? And a person to read, well, it says she was battling her demons, so she had a mental health issue and she went crazy, and that's why she unalived her mother in her. Now I'll be like, well, what about in the small cat? What about when you read the article and the article said that she was hearing voices, and that somebody else was unalive there. Well, yeah, she was hearing voices. It says she had a mental health issue. So, she was fighting with her demons and, she probably went crazy and then unalive. They're not going to see what I saw. When it said fighting with her demons, before I opened the article, before I read one single word, I knew that the author or the person who put out this news broadcast knew exactly what happened. She was exactly fighting with her demons. I'm not gonna look at it and say, well, what kind of demons was she into? Was she into drugs? Did she have alcohol abuse? What did they mean by that? When it said she was fighting her demons, I knew she was fighting real demons. I opened up the article and I see that she had voices in her head, and I understand or understood that Just like in the Quran, Surah 114, which I cite all the time, it said the whispers of the jinn or the whispers of the demons. So I already knew that she had spirits in her head, right? Then when I read it and find out that somebody was unalived in that apartment 2 years ago, there was a 2 years prior to this incident, there was a murder suicide in this same complex. Guess what I say? Okay, so there's a spirit there in that house or in that building that caused this to happen 2 times in 2 years. You could read the same article and just say, oh, she was fighting with her demons. Oh, it was so sad she unalived her mother, and have no understanding of what actually happened in that apartment. So when you say go back and read your Bible, I hope you're not reading the Bible like you probably would have read that same newspaper article and said, oh, she had mental health issues. That's why she unalived her mother. You're not going to say that there probably was a spirit, not probably, there was a spirit outside of whatever generational curses she may have had, outside of any mental health issues, for lack of a better understanding, that she may have had, or drug addictions, or whatever else went into this melting pot that caused her to unalive her mother and stab herself to unalive her own self. Do you know how I can see with a it's easy to unalive yourself that way, but to stab yourself to unalive yourself after unaliving your mother, it takes this. Your third eye has to be open and you have to have spiritual discernment. Automatically, I went into detective mode and I didn't have to look far. When it said 2 years prior, there was another murder suicide in that same apartment. It told you what happened. Her hearing the voices in her head, it told you what happened. So when they put she was fighting demons, whoever put that in that article is wise enough to know exactly what was going on. But they knew that most laymen would take that same article and not see it and say, oh, the girl had mental health issues, when they clearly painted a picture to show you exactly what went on in that apartment. That ain't even discernment. That's basic. You don't even, I'm saying discernment, for lack of a better understanding, so y'all can understand what I'm saying. In general, you need discernment. But that one right there, that don't even take discernment. You don't even have to be a spiritual detective. The Ghostbusters could have solved that crime and went in there and got Slimer. The Ghostbusters could have went right in there. They would have said, oh, what happened? Oh, this happened 2 years prior, the same exact murder suicide in the same building. Oh yeah. All right, get out the pack and let's go find this ghost, because there's a ghost in here. The Ghostbusters could have solved that. They ain't need Jesus Christ or a cross or nothing to get that spirit up out that house. It's quite obvious what went on there. So this ain't come from reading, is what I'm trying to say to the brother. So I'm not defending myself. I'm trying to show him something. And those who may be on here who may not know, we practice discernment. You could read whatever words you want to read. You could read whatever book you want to read. I done read thousands of books. That don't mean shit. That don't mean nothing. That don't mean anything. You could read about Jesus Christ. That don't mean you could cast out a demon. You could read a manual on how to cast out a demon. That don't mean you're gonna cast one out. If you're not fasting, praying, and meditating, if you don't love that name, if you're not vibrating on the Christ consciousness and the Christ frequency, just like in the Bible when they went to, remember when I believe it was Peter in the book of Acts, when they went to cast out that spirit and the spirit roughed them all up and kicked them all out the house and was like, yeah, no, it wasn't, it might have been Paul, because it wasn't Peter. It said, Paul, we know. I know he said, Jesus, we know. Paul, we heard of. But who the hell is you? And they tore his behind up. He ran up out that house. He had to get up out of there. Them spirits was attached himself to them brothers and they tore his behind up. He might have read it. He might have knew what he was supposed to do, but he ain't have the authority. He ain't have the anointings. He ain't have the power. Them demons tore his ass up. He might have read it somewhere. All right, this is what you do. This is how you do it. You could read how to fix a car, but have you ever fixed one? A lot of times reading ain't like physically doing stuff. You know how many times I get something and I don't read the manual, I just start putting it together and I might glance at the manual. But if you read the manual, it'll confuse you. Sometimes reading the manual will confuse you. You got to get down and get dirty. Do it yourself. That's how I live my life. Yeah, I read a lot of shit. So what? So what? I read a lot of shit. That don't got nothing to do with what I had to do in this real world. Who you gonna call? For real. The Bible is not literal. It is figurative. Sometimes. Sometimes it is. Sometimes it is. Sometimes it's literal. I believe that. I don't believe is 100% one thing or 100% the other thing. Some things are literal. Depend on what you're reading. The Eve biting the apple and the serpent telling her to bite the apple. I don't believe that was literal. I don't believe that was literal, but it kind of was, because if the serpent was a reptilian and the reptilian is the only snake we knew that had legs and feet. So if it said the snake or the serpent, I believe that it might have been a being. I don't believe it was like a snake that talked. I don't believe it was an apple. You know what I'm saying? I don't even necessarily believe that was a tree. I don't believe the tree of life was actually a tree. You understand what I'm saying? I think it was allegory, but they did partake in something that opened up their third eye or made them more conscious of what was going on around them. And the serpent, I don't believe the serpent is the devil and the devil is the serpent, just like I don't believe the devil, Lucifer, and Satan are all the same entities. They're different entities. They're different entities. You know what I'm saying? Um, the Noah's Ark, I don't believe that was it was a literal boat. I don't believe it was a boat. You know what I'm saying? It was something that protected them from the flood, but I don't believe it was an actual boat. You understand what I'm saying? Shit, don't start me with allegory and what's figurative, because I don't even believe that the Bible that was God. I don't even believe that that was God. I don't believe God hated man and made a mistake, so he had to wash over the whole world and flood the whole world and start all over again. I don't believe that. I don't believe that that was the Most High God. It was a God, but I don't believe it was the Most High God. Because everything I'm keep saying he, because that's the he God. Everything that he flooded the earth for came back anyway, right? We begin Sodom and Gomorrah came right back. All that shit happened all over again. No, excuse me. Um, the giants they came back. The sons of God begin to mix with the women all over again. All of those things happen all over again. It all happened all over again. So there was no reason to flood the earth because it all came back anyway. And the spirits of the Nephilim, or the spirits of the giants that from the daughters of God mixing with the sons of men, those spirits were still here. The bodies, they became disembodied spirits. Those are some of the demons that we have here. Those are some of the evil spirits that we have here now. So why would God, the all-knowing God, have to flood the earth, knowing all the shit that he flooded the earth for came right back anyway? And that God said, I regret even making man. Read your Bible. It said that. I regret even making man. That's what it said. I don't believe that that was the Most High Creator. So don't start me with the allegories and physical and what was physical and what was, you know, physically real and what was, allegory. We'd be here for all day if we break down what was real and what wasn't real. But I believe there was a people physically enslaved in Egypt. I believe that. And they were physically held captive and they physically came out of Egypt. That physically happened. Some of those wars, when they physically went to war and physically unalived a bunch of people in the name of their God, I believe that physically happened. Christ physically came down here. I believe that happened. I believe that, whether we call them Jesus the Christ, Yahshua, Emmanuel, Isa, whatever they called him, it happened. That happened. We could get into that. They stole it from Egypt, and it's really Horus or Tammuz or Horus and all these other figures who was born, because I believe Horus was born from a phallus of, which one was it? Osiris, that was unalived and chopped into 13 pieces, and Isis took his phallus and impregnated herself without him physically being there. We can get into that. Ra being the son of God, and the son of God walking across the water, as the cascade of the sun walks across the water. We can get into all the allegory and how Christ never existed and he never came here. And while we say that, I could say that there was a being that came directly from the all in all or the most high creator with more of his oversoul than we had, whether he got it in the moment of the baptism or whether he went to a mystery school in Egypt when that God told Mary to run to Egypt to hide from Herod, to hide from the king, and whether he learned it there or when he was baptized by John the Baptist, he became his higher self. Whatever way, which way, form, or fashion it happened, all of that happened. That ain't allegory. I don't believe he physically died because he can't physically die because he came back, right? If you read the Gnostic text, he said he came to his disciples and said, "Oh, that ain't even me. That's like he projected himself to be there so his physical body could endure what it was going through, but he was standing there with his disciples as his a part of his self or his spirit was actually on the cross." I read that in the Gnostic scriptures that Christ was like, "Yeah, that's the physical me. That physical body has to die. That physical me has to be there." So he left his body, the body he was born into, on the cross, and he manifested in another physical body because he could do that. He was spirit, and he was sitting there with his disciples, basically, telling them or narrating this how the story had to go. That's not in the Bible. That's in the Nag Hammadi, and it's also in some apocrypha text that Christ watched himself on the cross with his disciples and was telling them that that had to happen, that he didn't manifest in the way the Bible said he manifested when he came back. So yeah, him dying on the cross for our sins, that's allegory. I don't believe that was a physical thing. John the Baptist got beheaded. Yeah, he did. Can you solely say donut? See, I gotta be careful, y'all. I'm only gonna read the comments of the people that I recognize, because sometimes I get thrown off. I'm gonna apologize now, y'all, if I don't read y'all comments. If you're new here and I don't read your comments, I'm gonna apologize because I'm trying to read some of the comments and then it be some stuff that I shouldn't be reading anyway. So if you're new here and I ignore your comment, it's not on purpose. It's because I'm only gonna read the comments of the people that I recognize. 75th in the building. Hit the like button. Oh, 75 in the building. I appreciate you, Tommy. I came back. Oh, Gerald, you back in the no, Dark Child. That's not who I thought it was. Oh, peace, peace, beloved. Yeah, we back in here. Yeah, you caught me on time. I was in here earlier, man. I said I was gonna come back. There was 30,000 people in the live. I'm trying to figure out if I'm really having 30. It was 31,000 people, but I'm trying to figure out why the comments are not recorded. To have 31,000 people inside the live, like earlier, it said it had 31,000, but there's no comments. And like these comments, I don't know why these comments don't get recorded as comments with the live. I don't understand it. Maybe when I get on a computer, maybe it's because I'm not on a computer. Because I watch other people's lives and they might only have 5,000 people in their lives, but they'll have like 600 comments. How do I have 40,000 views, 80,000, 18,000, 15,000? Earlier I had 13,000 views and there's a bunch of comments while I'm on the live, but when you look at it, it won't say that. It'll say 0 comments or 3 comments. So I don't know if it's because I'm not on a computer. I haven't really figured that out yet. It just don't report it. Keep going live and building your core following. Their frequencies will catch up. Don't worry about the numbers. Just stay dedicated. You Yeah, I know that. I'm just saying because I got a hater on here. I got a hater on here. I was locked up with him. I'm even say his channel. His channel was Street Talk, what the streets talk. It's called Street Talk. He be wearing a mask. He don't even want to show himself. But anyway, he kind of made a comment. He was like, "Yeah, you got 40,000 views, but only not a certain amount of comments. He said, "Am I buying my views?" And I'm really not. But it did make me look, and I'm like, yeah. I started looking at other people who go live, and I could see they'll go live, but they'll have way more comments. I might have way more views, but they'll have less views but way more comments. I'm still trying to figure it out. Am I having 30,000, 18,000, but I won't have the comments? It's not me like being, about the numbers and stuff like that. But I'm really trying to figure out, why is it like that? These comments, look how everybody's commenting. These comments right here, if I count, there's probably hundreds of comments, right? Why those comments don't report after I get off the live and post it to my page? Why I won't have the comments? It'll have zero comments. I don't know why, but he said that. He said, "Yeah, you got 40,000 views, but 5 comments. You're buying your views." And since he said that, he made me conscious about it, and I started looking, and I'm like, "Yeah, why am I not getting comments in my views?" But yeah. So anyway, I said all that to say, yeah, it was 31,000 people in here earlier, and I was in the spirit. I said I might come back, so then I was like, you know what, I'm gonna come back, and I came outside and I just tapped in with y'all. But yeah, I'm gonna keep going. When my computer come here, it's over. When I get the when I set up the computer, it's over. Any day now. When I set that up and put this to StreamYard, because through StreamYard I could stream on this and TikTok. I was doing good on TikTok, but I got off of TikTok for a while. I got off of TikTok. But when I mastered the StreamYard thing and could connect it to this, I'm gonna be on here every day. I'm gonna stay consistent. I'm gonna stay consistent. I was on here 4 hours earlier and I just jumped back on here. See how long I'm gonna be on here today. These phones die real quick. I'm already at 60%, and it was at 100 when I started. I don't know why it does that. Let me see what it say. Hold on, let me see what you said. Succulent gravel, you gotta be a troll. You have viewers because you seem nice and have a pleasant voice. Oh, I appreciate that. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. I went on some big platforms, man, and they kind of helped me out. I went on a couple of big platforms, and it kind of helped me out. So at one time I had a lot of street people in here, but we kind of weeded out a lot of the negativity, and we got some real positive brothers and sisters in here. Stay holy or stay trying. I like that. I had my head turned, thought it was Jay. I get a lot of Jay-Z comparisons a little bit from Kenya. Oh, peace to Kenya. What's going on out in Kenya? I'm here in the United Snakes of America. Kenya's beautiful. I would love. My dream is to go to Africa. If I could go anywhere in the world, I haven't left the United States yet. I haven't. But when I do leave my the top of my bucket list is Africa. I want to go to the pyramids in Giza first, and then I would like to go to Kenya. I would like to go to the Congo, Zambia. I want to. I would. I probably would on my bucket list. The pyramid Giza is first, and if there has to be a second outside of Africa, I think I would just do Africa 1 through 5, and then I would like to go to Tibet. I want to go to Tibet. I want to see the stuff in Tibet, and I want to see some of the stuff in India, like them ziggurats and all that stuff in India. But I have a whole lot of shit that I want to do, man. I'm a real human, bro. That's why I type in capital letters so you know who you. Now I know who you is. You talking with charisma in the flesh. Now I know who you is on crypto. I recognize you from multiple times. That's the only reason why I read it. The Asian culture is next to God. The Asian culture is Africa is so many countries. That's right. That's a fact. But yeah, the Asian culture, they have a lot of energetic practices. Like a lot of the things that they do, they have a lot of energetic practices. They understand energy. Now, the crazy part about I say the Chinese. 'Cause I don't want to say all Asians because the Asia is big. There's a whole lot of different Asian people, but most of them were influenced by the Chinese for the most part. They the Asians that went all over the place, right? You know what I'm saying? They was like the Crusaders. They went everywhere and did a lot of things. So I say that to say a lot of their practices are energetic practices. I say spiritual for lack of an understanding, but I mean energetically. So energetically, Asians have a lot of righteous practices. They do. Sleeping on the floor, eating on the floor, sitting on the floor, remaining grounded in your home. You know, they started stacking their houses and stacking like that, but you know, we all supposed to be on one level. You're not supposed to live on top of people and have people living up under you. These cities that we're comprising in New York City are the most, they're like cells of energy. I believe that. These cities, I believe that there may be structures up under these major cities, and there are beings and other entities that use these cities as motherboards. Like when you look at a city from above, it does look like a motherboard on a computer. You know what I'm saying? And I believe that they use these structural cities as places where they absorb energy. They absorb the energy, the negativity, the violence, the lust, and everything that goes on in those cities. I believe that there are entities that feed off of that energy. I believe that wholeheartedly. And if we lived on one ground level, we slept on the floor, we ate on the floor, we took our shoes off when we entered our homes, and do a lot of that feng shui energy that the Asians brought into this realm of reality. I think we would vibrate way more decently. And if you're reading your Bible, your Quran, and you're practicing a lot of those practices and guarding your energy, we would vibrate much higher. The Asians are the main proponent when it comes to vibrational things. I, I said that we don't supposed to live on each other. Nope, we're not. We're not supposed to be congested like that. You know, neighbors to your left, neighbors to your right. You're sleeping on top of somebody else, somebody, and then you're in the middle of two people, like in a New York City apartment building. In my apartment building, I had people under me, and we had people over us. We had people to our left and people to our right, and you know, which they do. If they're practicing witchcraft next door to you, right? Then when they're summoning these entities and these energies, you know, that entity or energy may still be around when they're not home. It may come into your house. You understand what I'm saying? They're practicing a love spell. If they're practicing a love spell, and those deities and those energies that bring forth that seduction and that lust and those type of passionate things, some of those entities and energies may pass through your house, and they may take liking to your child or your wife, or while you in your bed sleeping, and them passing through your room may take you through a state while you're in that state. You know what I'm saying? And then you wonder why you having the dreams that you have and doing some of the things you're doing. And spirits jump. Spirits jump. They're like insects, fleas and insects. I was on a live earlier. I said it. Yahoo was here earlier. I literally watched a spirit jump from me and my home as we prayed and meditate to our next door neighbors, and they got to fighting. And then that same spirit, as we in bed and we knew what we just went through, we hear a couple arguing right up under our window, fighting. When we finally did look out the window, they had already walked up the block, and she was beating him in his head all the way up the block. And then later that night, we saw the ambulance and the fire department, the police, everything. A couple of buildings down, we looked out the window. We saw it in the morning when I walked up the block to get my paper and get my tea and everything. The brothers in the store were saying that a man had unalived his wife with a knife that same night. So we literally watched that spirit jump from our house when we prayed and meditated and got that spirit up out of our house. It jumped next door, then it jumped and messed with a couple outside, then it ended up down the block and caused somebody to be unalive. I know for a fact that spirit jumped from person to person, house to house, before it found what it was looking for, and it was looking for blood. It was looking for blood, and it got it. That's right. Do you believe that I can transition into being a white See, I thought I seen you before, and I started reading your comment, and you actually trolling. But you could be anything you want to be, beloved. Have I ever saw the movie The Fallen? Yeah, I seen it. My Denzel with Denzel Washington. Yep. If you look at that book, I have that book in my house. If you look at the book when Denzel started wanting to study and figure out what was going on spiritually, and he went to the girl who was the daughter of the cop who unalived himself, when she told him something, he ended up going to the library. And if you look in that movie, The Fallen, when Denzel Washington goes to the library to get a book so he could understand demonology, the book he grabs in that movie is called Secret Teachings of All Ages by Manly P. Hall. That's the book that he had in that movie. Now, I saw the movie before as a young boy. Then I had my spiritual awakening. I went back to prison and I came across the teachers Secret Teachings of All Ages, right, by Manly P. Hall. Now, when I read the book, I seen some of the pictures in the book, and I was like, man, I saw these pictures before. They had the pictures of the demons. You know how sometimes they have pictures of the demons with a face on his butt. It had a picture of, I don't want to say the name, and it showed that entity with a face on its behind. And I was like, man, I seen this somewhere before. Like I don't got a photographic memory, but I don't forget a face. And I didn't forget that face on that behind. And I was like, man, where I saw this before. I went and watched the movie a couple years again. I went to watch it again when I became spiritual. I like to do that sometimes. I like to watch things that I watched as a kid. That's what I'm doing now, actually. I'm watching a lot of stuff over. And when I watched that The Fallen over, I seen the book and it showed the book. I said, it's Manly P. Hall. That's in that movie. That's the book. That's a good book. It's called The Secret Teachings of All Ages by Manly P. Hall. And he also has a book, The Companion. Some books they don't have a part one and a part two because it's not the same book, so they'll say a companion. Well, the companion of that book that's in The Fallen is a book by Manly P. Hall called, I want to say it's called Ancient Philosophies. Secret Teachings of All Ages by Manly P. Hall. P like pot or prostrate or prophet. Manly P. Hall. That's the book that in that movie The Fallen, that's the book that Denzel Washington ended up going to the library because he wanted to overstand demonology. But yeah, I seen that movie. That movie is real. That's really what happens. That's really what happens. Spirits jump from person to person. They do. They do. But that's a really good book. There's better ones than that though, man. If you I don't want to push people to certain books, but as you down here when you in some of these, all right, let me give you an example, right? Sometimes when you see, there's a book that I was gonna say, but it's a good book. It's called The Lesser Keys of Solomon. They got the Greater Keys and the Lesser Keys of Solomon. Oh, thank you, Kim. I appreciate you. So in the Lesser Keys of Solomon and the Greater Keys of Solomon, it lists those same entities that they speak about in that movie, The Fallen by Denzel Washington. I don't want to say the names. So in the Lesser Keys of Solomon and the Greater Keys of Solomon, it's gonna have 72 demons in the book. And when you read what some of these demons give you powers over, some of the stuff seem like it doesn't make sense, right? They have spirits that can help you find buried treasures. Now imagine if you had a spirit, if you summons a spirit today, it don't sound like that's much. But if you really think about it and you study history and artifacts and you watch shows like American Pickers, I don't know if you watch shit like that, or Pawn Stars, if you watch those kind of shows, you can see how some old shit would be worth a lot of money. So if you had a spirit that can help you find any buried treasure or anything that's buried, you would end up being rich because you could find almost anything. So when you see people like Christopher Columbus or what's their name? Marco Polo or what's the people the two people they say discovered America that Lewis and Clark, right? When you find people like Lewis and Clark, Marco Polo, Christopher Columbus. These people were rich in their times. They had kings and queens and people with power giving them money so they could help discover some places, so they could, find where things was at. So if they had a spirit that was helping them, it would give them power. It would give them money. You don't have to have exact money if you have things that would turn into money, if that makes any sense. They have spirits in the lesser keys that would make somebody a comedian. And one would say, well, why would I waste my wish, or why would I want a spirit that made me funny? Because in today's society, we know as the Kevin Harts and the Eddie Murphys of the world are millionaires and billionaires by making people laugh. These are some of the talents that we may deem worthless. And why would there be a demon or a spirit in charge of such a spirit? But in today's society, even back in the king's days, when you had a gesture actually got paid to entertain the king. They lived in the kingdom. They was a part of the kingdom, just like the knights and the cooks and the blacksmiths. The person who would make the king laugh, or when they had, events where other kingdoms came, if the king had a person who could juggle while rolling around on a one-wheel bike, this was entertaining in the time. Could do card tricks, could make people laugh. These were things that were entertaining. So entertainers were getting paid even back then. So if there's a spirit that can give you that gift, you can turn that gift. That gift can in turn translate into money. The gift of gab could be monetized on YouTube. That is a fact. That is a fact. That's exactly what happened. Michael Wolff was into the dark arts. I never heard of Michael Wolff, the fool. Yeah, the gesture is the fool. But in a deck of cards, right? The jack was the fool. But you had what? You had the king, the queen, and the fool. You didn't even have a knight. You only had three cards, right? The king, the queen, and the jack. The jack was what? The jack is the fool. So the court jester sometimes had more power than the knight. And sometimes the jester could be the wizard. Sometimes some wizards were the jesters. They pretended to be dumb, deaf, and blind and to amuse people. And a lot of their magic tricks were actually real magic. But they didn't come across as a wizard. They had to do it in the form of a magician with jokes and to be playing so you could think that they weren't as powerful as they were. But behind every king, y'all, when I was in prison, I'm gonna write this book. I'm not even gonna say the name of the book, but behind everybody powerful, this is just my belief. I was going to say this as far as a king. Behind every king, there is a wizard. Behind every king, there is somebody who gives the king wisdom. There is a spiritual guidance behind every single king known to man. You do not have a king without that king having a spiritual advisor. It does not exist, not here on this third dimensional planet Earth. You name a king, and 9 times out of 10, if he was great, I'm going to tell you who his advisor was. There is no conqueror or king that does not have a spiritual advisor. That is a fact. Whether it's his wife, which is his queen, whether it's his mother, or whether it's you know Alexander the Great had what's his name? I appreciate you. I appreciate you for subscribing to my channel. Yeah, behind every power, it's just that when we got presidents, our presidents, they just don't let you know who's behind them. Our presidents don't let you know. I think the only ones they said, like, if you go back to like um George Washington, he had an advisor. They tell you who it was. The biggest one that I knew was, because I had a whole book on it, was Abraham Lincoln. Abraham Lincoln, his wife could see the future. I don't know if y'all read any much about it. And she was in tune with a woman named Nettie or Netta something. I forgot. Netta something. I can't remember. But that woman, his wife was a spiritualist. They had seances at the house. Just Google on Abraham Lincoln. His wife was spiritual. They had seances at the house and all that. This is a fact. This ain't even conspiracy. And the lady, her name was Netta something. I can't remember her name, but she told Abraham Lincoln that he was going to get shot in his head, that he was going to be unalive, and that he wasn't going to live to see his next birthday. They already knew that. But that's one. Him and and George Washington, and I believe Thomas Jefferson, I think it is. They actually put it out there that they had spiritual advisors. But most of our modern day presidents, you're not gonna know that. You're not gonna know that. And the reason why they have spiritual advisors is because what us laymen don't know, us regular Americans, and those who don't study, what you don't realize is it's impossible for you to be a leader of a nation or a king and you not have spiritual protection because you're going to go to war against people who are going to send witchcraft at you. Tell me if that makes any sense to y'all. Y'all think for 1 second there isn't a multitude of people who has a picture of Bill Clinton or who has a picture of Donald Trump? How do you think all of the millions of people who may be performing witchcraft on Donald Trump here in America or or anywhere else on this face of this planet, you think for 1 second they're not trying to send spirits and witchcraft at these people? They have something that's allowing them not to be affected by these the evil eye or by the witchcraft. They have someone in their camp that's the same way we got an army and we got a navy and we got generals. Man, they have a spiritual person that's behind each and every president. Bet to believe that. Abraham's Lincoln, a spiritualist. There you go, Nettie, playing an advice, a national affairs. Yes, there you go. There you go, Lord. From Saturn, Lord Premon from Saturn. There you go. Yeah, it was Nettie something. I knew it was I knew it was Nettie something. But oh, she didn't for well, I read somewhere that she foreseen his death though. I did read that somewhere. Or was it his wife? Maybe his wife foresaw his death. I can't remember. His wife was a spiritualist too, and she studied under the Nettie woman. And his wife or the Nettie woman, one of them told him that he was gonna get shot in his head though. His wife went to a spiritualist and a medium to cope with the loss of her son, their son. Okay, yeah. Well, that's the one that they admitted. They admit that one. But all of them, all of our presidents had somebody spiritual down with them. If you study George Washington said that when they would travel through the woods, like I'm in the woods now, it was a spirit guiding him that told him to go right and told him to go left. It said it. This is documented. He said that a spirit was guiding him through the woods. That he didn't need an aid. Christopher Columbus said that he was watching a spirit. That a spirit directed him to America. These people they all have a spiritual being or spiritual things they were in connected to. You don't become great on this planet without some spiritual guidance. And you tell me a great person and I'll tell you who was behind them. Most of them, the ones that I've actually studied, the ones that I actually paid attention to. And that's what we don't realize down here. So when you tell somebody that LeBron James is Illuminati or he may have, sacrificed his first child or whatever the case may be. When you tell people this, they deem it far fetched. But if you really think hard and you really study history, you don't become great down here without some help. And he's not great. I'm saying he's great as far as basketball and his worldly shit is concerned. But I'm saying you do not come to have that kind of stature and that kind of power without having a spiritual advisor of some sort. It just doesn't happen down here. Only us, the laymen's, the regular citizens, the regular human beings that ain't got much going on as far as this realm and reality is concerned. We just down here thinking that shit just be happenstance, that somebody just got talent, or Napoleon was just a great warlord, or Genghis Khan was just a great, you know. No, it don't work like that. It may be in your spirit to be good at something and your lust or your wanting to be great at whatever it is you're at, whether it's basketball or an artist, whatever it is, when you put that your whole lifeblood into practicing that jump shot, and that's all you want to be, and that's all you see, and that's all you want, and that becomes the most important, more than your family members, more than marriage, more than God, more than anything, your spirit will send out a broadcast that will bring something to you that will make sure you become the best basketball player there is to be. That's what happens down here. That's what happens down here. It don't even be a conscious thing. All powers come from a being, good or bad. I've met both. You're right. That is true. That is true. There are entities and energies that govern every single thing that we say. You say good, you say bad, you say joy, you say hate, you say fear, you say lust, you say any word you can mention, there's an entity that governs that particular vibration. There is an entity that put and some of them, unlike gravity, right? Gravity is gravity. If you jump off a cliff, you're gonna fall. That's gravity. Gravity only gonna do what gravity gonna do. You understand what I'm saying? So unlike gravity, gravity is just gravity. Death is just death. They do what they do. That's what they do, right? Some of them want you to experience gravity, if that makes any sense, for lack of a better term. Joy might be joy. Joy might want you to experience joy. So the more you laugh, the more joy may hang around you and cause you to experience joy, for lack of a better understanding. A lot of the negative ones, uh, angry, want to create anger, and anger might give birth or open the door for death, and all the other ones that come in after that. You know what I'm saying? It's vibrational. So whatever we spend our energy and our lifeblood and our life force, whatever we imagine, whatever we think about the most, is what we manifest, and it begins to manifest in our spirit. That's where it begins to manifest. It begins to manifest in your spirit. That's what you give your energy to. That's what you give power to. So that's why I chose to give power. That's why I say Yahshua Yahweh, Jesus the Christ. That's why I say Christ. I cast out spirits. I cast out demons. I changed my environment, saying my Christ-like consciousness, saying my mantras in my head. I've seen a prison or a unit full of people facing life sentences with life sentences. I seen the energy change. I seen it shift. I seen it just by saying that name over and over and over and over and over and over again. And the only way, well, you can't dissuade me or persuade me against that. The only thing somebody could say to me, if Jesus Christ never existed in the way that I believe him to exist, right? If he never existed, the only thing a person could do to dissuade, well, they can't dissuade or persuade me. The only thing that could make sense if somebody says, well, it changed because you believed you was changing it. It wasn't him. He never existed. That happened because you believed it, and that's why it happened. When you believed that you was making this water and that water healed somebody, that only happened because you believed it. It wasn't Christ. Then I'm gonna say you may be right, but because my belief was heightened, or Christ was the anchor, or Christ was the thing that made me believe that I can do it, I gotta stick to that. I have to stick to that. I can't go outside of it. I'm not gonna just say, you know what, you're right. I'm gonna stop saying Christ and I'm gonna make it happen because I can make it happen all on my own. I ain't did that yet. And I don't have the faith to do that. I seen this work. Why would if it ain't broke, why fix it? If it ain't broke, why fix it? So people say, oh, you could do it, you could go straight to God. I am going straight to God. I am going straight. The only thing I'm saying is if he came down here and he walked on water and he fed 5,000 people and he could cast out demons and he did all of these marvelous things, and I know that I've done some of those things in that name, in that vibration, and he said that, is it not written that you are God? He said that. So he's saying that I'm God, one. If he told Peter to walk, come to me, walk out the boat, and Peter tried to walk on water and Peter fell in the water, right? So if we think that all this is allegory, this is him saying Peter could walk on water. So if he said Peter could walk on water, guess what that means? I mean, I could walk on water. So I believe I could walk on water. So if he's the one who showed us that we could walk on water and cast out demons, why would I just say forget him? I could do it without him and just forget that name. I'm not. I can't. I already did it. I can't unsee what I see. I can't unlearn what I was taught. That's just me. Okay, it could be nothing but a myth. But if it is nothing but a myth, if I believe that myth and I did the same things that he did, no, I didn't walk on water, but I inadvertently cast out demons. I seen his name change the energy and change the spirits. I seen spirits flee off of people in that name. So if I seen it happen, you could tell me that it's a myth, but I could tell you that I seen it work in my own eyes. So you can't tell me that it's a myth because I seen it happen. could tell you Superman is a myth, but guess what? Somewhere on this realm of reality, even if it wasn't on Earth, somewhere an alien landed to a planet, was raised by some beings that was on that planet, and he had some superpowers that nobody else had, and he remained on the low, and he only went out to save people. That really happened. Superman's story really happened. His name may have not been Clark Kent. Maybe he didn't come to Earth. Maybe he wasn't found by some white farmers and raised by some white farmers. It could have happened in Africa, but it happened somewhere. Scooby Doo happened somewhere. Somewhere with some people riding around in a van following ghosts with a dog that could talk and walk around. That happened somewhere. It may not have happened on Earth, but it happened somewhere because every possibility is endless. Every possibility is endless. So I'm not going to tell you whatever your belief is, or I could tell you whatever I want to tell you. But if you have cast out demons and healed and woke the dead, there's nothing I could tell you. So you could tell me it's a myth, and that's great. But I'm telling you what I did, so it don't matter. It's real to me because it happened. I just ain't walked on water, and I ain't stuck my hand in a bag and fed 5,000 people fish. I ain't dug my hand in a bag and fed 7,000 people bread. I ain't did that. I ain't turned water to wine. I ain't did that. That might be allegory. I ain't did that. But I know I told the spirit to move and it moved. I know I done healed scoliosis in that name. I know I done gave a person that lost function in their kidney function back in their kidney. I know that I reversed my type 2 diabetes. I reversed my high cholesterol and reversed my blood pressure. I've seen the spirit fly off of some. I've seen when their eyes changed. I've seen when the spirit left the person and the person came back to their natural state from me saying that mantra. I know from me saying that mantra, carrying my Bible to church to court, I came back and was put in the ballpen with 20 rival gang members and they went to attack me. And just like in the movie The Matrix, that's something else that you're going to say is a myth. I, just like Neo in The Matrix, watched everything go into slow motion and I could see every punch, every razor swing, and everything that was happening to me happened in slow motion. And as it was happening in slow motion, I'm not afraid, I'm not mad, I'm not scared. I have a blank feeling. I have no feelings attached to these 20 niggas trying to attack me. And as they trying to swing, I'm just dodging and weaving. No razor touched my face, no fist touched my face. The main guy who tried to attack me swung and I just moved without even thinking to move. My body just moved like, you know how you in water and when something's in water, as the thing coming closer to it, the vibe, the pushes the other thing further from it. It was like that. As he was swinging, my body was just moving. I didn't think to weave. I didn't think to duck. And as he swung, he missed me, tripped over a stool that was welded to the ground, bust his face on the other bench. I'm sitting there I'm not making this shit up. I'm on Rikers Island. I'm sitting there in my suit. I got my Bible and my paperwork in my hand with a full-fledged suit on, and I'm in a ballpen with 20 rival gang members, and they wanted to attack me. And guess what? He slipped, bust his head. When he bust his face trying to swing on me, I didn't even know that I didn't even think to weave him. My body just moved. I didn't say weave or punch or duck or nothing. Like I said, the only thing I could compare it to is if you in the water and you go to swing for something, and as you swinging, the water's already pushing the thing further from you. It was kind of like that. And when he fell and bust his face, the other gang members that was there to attack me, they kind of was staying there stuck. Like, what just happened? And when they finally clicked to start swinging, the COs was already coming to rescue me. So as they start swinging, I just like bounced around, moved around a little bit. By the time they rushed the bullpens, you got one dude bloody. He done hit his other partner. They all got razors in their hand. And I walk out of there with my Bible and my paperwork still in my hand. I ain't even get touched one good time. And that's because the whole day, I told this story before. I told this story before. I'm not bragging. I'm not bragging at all. I'm just telling y'all how the power of Christ and the power of belief, how he could say Christ, somebody in the chat said Christ is a myth. Well, The Matrix is a myth. It's a movie that we all watched. We sat there and watched it. Some of us say it was a hell of a movie. It was a real good movie, right? It's a myth. Superman, all the Star Wars, all the shit we see is the myth. But I'm gonna tell you the one thing these movies have in common. These one things have in common is that it's saying that you, as a so-called human being, your interconnectedness with the all in all, to everything that there is and exists. And if you have a strong belief That belief and that faith can make you powerful enough to manipulate time, space, and matter to where bullets like Bruce Leroy in The Last Dragon or Neo in The Matrix, even bullets can't harm you. Have I stopped the bullet? No, but I know I can. I know I can. Have I stopped the bullet yet? No, I haven't. But I'm telling you, just like in The Matrix, just like in Last Dragon or the Bruce Lee movies, when you see them start going like this and everything is in slow motion, that's exactly what happens. You know what that is? That is a connectedness. That means you are everything and everything is you. I appreciate the gift. I didn't even know we could get gifts like that. Oh man, I thank y'all so much. I appreciate y'all. I didn't even know you could get that kind of gift. What that did was that showed me that I am connected to the all in all. And that day, every time I go to court on Rikers Island, I don't know if any of y'all ever been to Rikers Island or ever heard stories about this place, right? Whenever you go to court on Rikers Island, that is the time where they put all gang members together, where you could be in the bullpens with anybody. So every day when I went to court, before I stopped gang banging, I was in the worst gang to be in. The gang that I was in had beef with the whole jail. And not only did I have beef with the whole jail, even though I had left the gang, I also had beef with the gang because I left the gang. So now I got beef with all their enemies, and I got beef with the actual gang because I'm not in the gang no more. So every day when I used to go to court, not every day, but anytime I had to go to court, I would stay up. I would already be on a fast. I would fast for 2 days. The third day of the fast would be my court date. So 2 days prior to my court date, if I had to go to court on the third, I would start fasting on the first, I would start fasting on the second, and the third would be my third day. I wouldn't eat till I got back from court. And because I knew that court was dangerous, anytime they had court on Rikers Island, somebody got cut, stabbed, or beat up every morning. And it always happens in the court pens. So what I would do was I would start praying and meditating. And from the time I woke up and got dressed, I would start saying my mantra. I would start saying Christ unconditional love, Christ unceasing love light. Christ unconditional love, Christ unceasing love light. Christ unconditional love, Christ unceasing love light. I would start saying it from 5 o'clock in the morning to the time I reach the bullpens. I would start saying it. I would say when I'm in the court bullpens, I don't care how many niggas be calling me, yo, Bucks was popping, homie. Yo, this so and so and so and so. I might respond, yo, what's good, bro? And say, yeah, whatever. And I go back to my mantra. I was only speak when spoken to. So if I didn't see somebody I didn't know, I would never speak. Sometimes I wake up at 5 in the morning to go to court, and I wouldn't speak until I seen my lawyer at 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock that afternoon. I wouldn't even speak to nobody. I'll just sit there and say my mantra. If somebody says something to me, I'll respond back. I'm saying that to say this. So as I did that, most of the times, when it was somebody who wanted to cut me or do something to me, they would leave on the bus right before me. Or if it was somebody that wanted to do something to me, I seen a dude attack a dude who was waiting to attack me. I seen him get attacked by another enemy that he didn't even see because he was busy watching me, waiting for me to come into the bullpen so they could jump on me. I'm telling y'all, this is real stuff. I'm not making this shit up. So that particular day when I went into the bullpen, I came back from court this particular day. And that was one of the days where I didn't speak to nobody but my lawyer. And when I came back, I saw them all in the bullpen. And they was big old dude. I told this story before. Big old dude. He had to been at least 6'3", 6'4", probably 280, 290 pounds, probably bigger. And I seen him. He was like, oh, he was telling his man, yo, oh, that's Bucks. That's the Big Mac. They thinking I'm still in the game. I had not these same glasses, but the same style of glasses. This a different pair, but the exact same kind. So, when you in jail, stuff like this stick out. So they was like, yo, the nigga with the Cartiers, he be wearing the suit to court. Yeah, get him. That's the Big Mac. That's him. Get him, y'all. So when he see me, I see him. I see him. Streets, you pay attention. So I already seen him, seeing me, and he tell me like, yo, oh, yo, that's him, that's him, that's him. I seen him go to the bathroom and shit his razor out. I seen him pull his razor out his butt. I seen him tell his boys. I seen all of that. But I'm not scared. I'm not making this up, y'all. And I tell y'all, when I'm scared, I'm scared. I don't have a problem saying I'm scared. This time, I was praying and meditating so much that I wasn't scared. I wasn't scared, y'all. And I'll tell you, a lot of the shit I did in the streets, Lord forgive me, but all the shootouts I've been in, all the times when I got in these mass shootouts and did all this courageous shit, during those times I was scared. I was scared. I was only doing that shit because I wanted to be unalived. I'm keeping it real. A lot of the shootouts and shit that I've been through, when people was like, "Yo, Bucks, you was running at the guy, they shooting at you, you ran out the building shooting at them," all of that courageous stuff people give me credit for. Those times I was scared. I wanted to be unalive. It's just the Most High had a hand on me, so I didn't get unalive. But it wasn't courageous. It was fear making me do the most toughest shit that people would think was the most courageous shit. This is not that. This time that I'm talking about, I wasn't afraid. I was nothing. I wasn't afraid. I wasn't happy. I wasn't sad. I'm just saying my mantra because whatever was going to happen, I'm not even thinking about nothing. I don't know how to explain it. It's a feeling of just, it's not, it's, I can't explain it. I can't even explain what the feeling is. I don't want to say blank because it becomes emotionless, but that's the closest I could say. Like, I just know I'm all right. And I see everything that's going on and I'm just all right in my head. And the CO, who's also paying attention because they get paid to pay attention, right? So the CO come and ask me, say, "Yo, you good to go in that tank?" Like that. And I'm like, I ain't say yeah, I ain't say no. He's like, "You sure?" I was like, I'm not happy, I'm not sad, I'm not afraid. Now, to be honest with y'all, if I wasn't praying and meditating in that spirit, the normal me, I'm gonna keep it real. The normal me, I'd be like, nah, I can't go in there. I'm keeping it real. I'd have been like, nah, I can't go in there. I'm keeping it real. No, I can't. Now, Mac Baller, they all hounds, they all apes, they gorilla stones. I cannot go in that bullpen, sir. No, put me where I could go. But at this moment, I'm vibrating so high. I'm not. I can't make this up, y'all. I'm just. And I went in there, and this brother tried to swing so hard, his momentum let him pass me, and the benches are welted down. He tripped over the welted down bench trying to swing on me. He's 6'3", 6'4", big tall dude. As he trying to attack me, he tried to swing so hard. I moved out the way, but I didn't think to move. It's not like I was like, oh, weave or duck. Like, I know I'm not a trained boxer. I don't know karate. I don't even really know how to fight. I'm gonna defend myself. Not this time, but I'm saying I grew up defending myself. So I'm gonna defend myself. But I'm telling you, I didn't even think consciously. I just moved. As he swung, and it's all in slow motion. As I walked in there, he began to swing, and I just moved. And as I moved, he went right by me. His leg or foot hit the bench. I never really saw what part of his body hit the bench, but I know there's a little 2 foot high bench that's welted to the ground. He was so busy trying to swing on me that he leaped without being mindful of the bench, and he tripped. And as he tripped, he was going by me with his punch, and he went right by me and went right down. And there's 3 rows of benches. He tripped over the first bench. There might be like 4 feet space in between the benches, and he tripped over the first bench and fell and busted his whole bottom of his mouth on the second bench. All his buddies, everybody in the bullpen, went from him doing that. Everybody got shocked. They just standing there like. So by the time they realized to attack me, the COs was already there. So they all sitting there like, oh shit, what just happened? And I'm standing there with my paperwork just standing there. And then finally one of them decided to try to swing. But like I said, it was all in slow motion and he swung. And then the other one came and he swung and I just like got bounced and bounced around a little bit, tuffle. But my paper, I never dropped my Bible. I never dropped my paperwork. And my paperwork never came out my folder. I had these glasses on my face. They never fell. I didn't have to pick them up. I didn't take them off before they tried to attack me. I walked out with my glasses still on my face and my paperwork and my Bible still in my left hand. And I could tell you other stories when shit like that happened. I could tell you other stories when the Patias, a Dominican gang, I'm coming back from a visit. They come out of Saturday. They coming out of Catholic services. They let out a whole Catholic service. Y'all know all the Spanish people be Catholic. I'm coming back from a visit or maybe the law library. I forgot. I don't know where I'm coming back from. And they let out the whole Catholic service. And it's about 20 Dominican Patias, and they got beef with the Mac Bowlers at this time. They let the whole unit out. I'm standing right there. They see me. They're like, oh, dale, Mac Bowler, dale. They start attacking me the same way. It was CO standing there the whole time when this happened, and it was like 20, and I promise you, I just got bumped around, knocked around a little bit, bumped and bumped. I still have my glasses on. It was to the point where this female, anybody from 240, if y'all in here from Weeks or from the neighborhood, If y'all know P. Lang, if y'all know my son Paul, his sister worked on Rikers Island. She is my witness. And when I brought the story up before, I said the same thing. If y'all could find Paul Levine, if y'all could find his sister, P. Lane's sister, she worked on Rikers Island. She could verify this. And you want to know how she verified it to me? One day, I don't know where I was at, but she was working on Rikers Island. She ended up getting fired. But anyway, she came to me one time and she said, "Yo, Bucks, you know, I grew up, I know you a gangster. I grew up watching you. I'm not trying to hype myself, but I'm telling you what she said. She said, I know you a gangster. I grew up, you from the neighborhood. She's like, I was having talks with the other COs and they was trying to say like, you know, some kind of karate. Like they was watching my videos. And she was like, they was trying to figure out how you keep getting into shit, but your glasses never seem to break and you never seen to fall. You don't even be throwing punches. You got like some weave and shit. And I was trying to tell them like you get busy, but they trying to figure out what you know. Like you know jujitsu, what kind of karate you know, or whatever. And I'm like, I don't know nothing. She was like, cause they trying to figure out how you know something. We was watching the video the other day. And I got in a lot of situations. And I'm telling y'all, I never got touched. You know why? Because I'm saying these Christ-like mantras in my head. I'm praying, I'm meditating, I'm not doing nothing unrighteous. I'm not doing nothing foul. I'm not doing nothing. So the universe was not allowing me to get physically harmed. So you could say Christ is fake. You could say the story is a myth. So is the movie The Matrix. But I'm telling you, I was doing shit like in The Matrix. When fights and scenes of traumatic distress was slowing down and I was coming out of that situation on top. And the stuff that they tell you, this thing that the Kung Fu master tells the initiate or the novice, or the stuff that the Yoda would tell, you know, Luke Skywalker, or some of the things Obi-Wan Kenobi would tell Anakin before he became Darth Vader, those particular things is all things of nature. Become one. Become like water. Become fluid. Have faith. Stop being afraid. Use your body, use your spirit to reach out. Close your eyes and let your spirit reach out. Reach out with your spirit. You know what they saying in those movies when they saying reach out with your spirit? They be saying become one with the all, because all that exists is you. You are the tree, right? Just like Neo in the Matrix when he became the agent. He jumped into the agent and he took over the agent body and became the agent. And right before he did that, what did he see? He saw the agent and he saw the room around the agent all in ones and zeros, all in green. Everything was the same. Regardless of what the agent was and how far the agent was, he was the agent, he was the wall, he was the ground, he was everything. And because he's everything, how could he allow himself to be harmed by himself? The only thing that could allow the agent to harm is if he became separate from the agent and feared the agent and ran from the agent. You can't defeat the agent running from the agent. When he figured that out, he ran at the agent, jumped in the agent, became the agent, and exploded the agent. I'm not saying I did all of that. The only thing I'm saying is my faith, my belief in Yahshua Yahweh, Jesus the Christ, and the one you say is a myth, gave me the powers to do some mythological shit. So you could anybody could jump in the chat and say that, oh, this ain't real. You got that from, they took that story from the ISIS story. They took it from the Talmud story. Every story they took the Christ story from, I done read the story. And the only thing that it leads me to believe is like, yes, there was some of these things that other people said happened, but guess what? What if I told you they just came from the same soul, the same spirit? That, yeah, it might have been the same story told over and over again. You think Christ or that story is the planet Earth is the first place where it happened? And if it did happen here, you think that's the only time that it happened here? I'm just saying. You can't knock somebody's faith when you can't tell a Christian that what they're learning is fake, or a Jew what they're learning is fake when they casted out demons. You can't tell my stepmother her God ain't real and she's a Christian, right? And I know they got some of the tendencies twisted. I know some of the things were embellished. I know all the stuff that you're gonna say, right? But her belief in Jesus and the way she was taught said that my father wasn't gonna go to jail because she putting it on the altar and she praying, and my father and me was in the kitchen preparing for him to go to prison because he got caught red-handed. He was going to get sentenced, not going to court. He was going to get sentenced any day now. And she said, don't Tell your son, don't speak that over my husband. My husband is not going to jail. Jesus Christ is not sending my husband to jail. I'm putting it on the altar. And she stormed out the house and went to put it on her altar. And when the cops who arrested my father a couple of weeks before he was going to get sentenced, got caught live on camera planting drugs on somebody else. And guess what? Her husband ain't go to jail. So you can't tell that lady her Jesus Christ ain't real. You can't tell her that. You can't tell somebody who has used these names and these stories as a guidance or guidelines or how you say a platform to delete from, a platform to fly from. You can't tell somebody who's actually used the tenets of their belief to actually do some mythological shit. You can't tell them nothing. All you gonna do is you're just speaking words. You're just speaking words, and it's okay. Everything is not meant for everybody. There has to be people who don't believe in nothing. You have to be a Muslim, Christian, Jew, atheist, non-believer, whatever it is that you are, you have to be that. And whatever you believe in or give credence to is what's going to give you energy to do whatever it is you down here to do. You might worship porn stars, or your thing might be just having relationships with women and men, and that's what you down here to do. So that may, aid you in your prowess of being super hypersexual, and that's what gives you the power to be super hypersexual. Whatever floats your boat. Whatever floats your boat. That's why I don't do that. Right? I may have read the Bible, I may have studied a lot of shit that most Christians ain't privy to. I might know that some of their beliefs, believing that there's the one God in the Bible, that's one God. I know it's not one God. I understand that there's multitude of gods. But even if the way they were taught was not right, but they follow the tenets and they believe, they still have the power to do some mythological shit. So I'm not gonna go and tell them that they shit is wrong or that they don't know what they know. It's not here for me to do. If the way they taught them gives them power to do things, the particular person, not the whole church may still be liars and backstabbers and doing whatever they doing. You understand what I'm saying? Like the papacy at Rome, I know for a fact that they doing shit they ain't supposed to do. They might really be unaliving little babies and drinking, life force and doing all the stuff that they do. I know that they're doing that. But does that mean that there's not Catholics who don't have power? Even if they pray to the Virgin Mary and we say they ain't supposed to do that. So even if they not supposed to do that, even if they still venerate their lady, they still got powers to do what they need to do. They still may make holy water. They still may pray over their food and take all of the impurities out of the food because they're pious in their belief and the tenets of their belief. They still have power. So why am I gonna go back and forth with them about what I know not to be true? Why go back and forth with them about that and tell them that Rome and the papacy is built over the where they worship Zeus and all of that? Why get into all of that and get into the Crusades and get into all of the other shit? Why get into it? Most of the Rome, the popes in Rome probably are reptilians. What that got to do with the people who believe wholeheartedly and live by the tenets? That ain't got nothing to do with them. Their belief in a higher power and their love and connection to their God that they pray to, however many times they pray, if they really praying and following the tenets, it don't take away from the power that they got. Who am I to sit there and tell them what I read when they're doing some real mythological shit down here? Who am I to tell them what I read? I'm just saying. I'm not gonna do that. When you vibrating high, you don't have, as a man thinketh, that's right. As a man thinketh, who has that? Who has the, what am I gonna say? What would I gain? What would one gain from shaking someone else's belief? That's the devil, or what we call the devil. That is a negative entity or energy putting into somebody to tell somebody else what they doing ain't right. Pride and ego want to make you quote all these mythological books you read and all these authors and secret texts and all this esoteric knowledge you acquire and all this occult wisdom you don't acquire. And here you sit on your pedestal and want to act like you got all the light. You're gonna end up like young Pharaoh playing the video game, listening to drill music. You're gonna lose your spirit because you don't have no no bulletproof vest. You don't have no spiritual protection. You don't got somebody to call when they start whooping your behind. You don't got no bigger brother because you don't believe in shit. You understand what I'm saying? You ain't got no big brother. So who are you gonna tell them? Oh, don't Jesus Christ, that's the white man God, or who are you to say that? You better have somebody. You better call Krishna. You better call Buddha. You better call Jehovah. You better call Allah. You better call Prophet Muhammad. May peace be upon him. You better call Elijah Muhammad, Louis Farrakhan, Noble Drew Ali. You better call somebody. You better have somebody that's down here on the spirit realm or who's vibrating high enough to send you some aid and assistance because it's on down here. It is a spiritual warfare down here. You better have somebody, brother. You better learn spiritual kung fu from somebody. You can't just teach yourself. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, everything is within you. Yeah, you are connected to the all in all. Yeah, you don't need no bridges or nobody to intercede for you. But do you have that kind of relationship? Do you have that kind of relationship? It's like the court of law, right? Yeah, technically we all could go pro se. Pro se means we all could defend ourselves in the court of law. But do you? No, because you don't know the language. You ain't studied the Black's Law Dictionary. Do you speak legalese? You don't know legalese. Do you know legalese is actually uh uh um it's Latin terms that are used in the court of law. They only have credence in the court of law. Do you speak legalese? When you can say that you're out of their jurisdiction, but can you put yourself out of their jurisdiction by what you know? If not, guess what you do? You hire a lawyer. You hire a lawyer. How dare you say, oh, you got a lawyer? You don't need no lawyer. You the man of God. You supposed to go in there. You supposed to know everything. You don't need no lawyer. That's like saying somebody don't need Jesus Christ. How you gonna tell them that, man? I don't know all the law. I know a little bit, but at least me personally, when I used to have a lawyer, I used to have all my little notes by the side, and I'd be like, and he'd say what I'm saying, because I'm saying some shit. I know enough to do a little bit, but I let him do all the work. And I'm not saying that's the right thing to do because technically I should know what I'm supposed to know. Because ignorance of the law is no excuse. I'm just using that for an example. For real, because you supposed to know it. You supposed to know it. The same way, you got Yahshua Yahweh, same way you have somebody speaking for you in the spiritual realms, whether it's Christ or Buddha or whoever, you also should know the law yourself. You should also be able to get in there and say some things and do some things. But I'm just giving an example. Don't tell somebody that they don't need a lawyer when you don't know the first thing about law. Don't do that. And if you're doing it, then that ain't nothing but the devil. And I'm not here to dissuade you or persuade you either way, shape, form, or fashion, but I'm in here for those who have faith, who have a spiritual guide or have a spiritual big brother or a spiritual big homie. It's okay to have that. The greatest minds and the greatest masters and the most powerful people on the face of this planet that you may idolize or think something is special, they have a spiritual advisor. They all do. You name them, and 9 times out of 10, I can show you who they are and what they upon. Most of the time, Latin, it's all done in Latin, not legalese. Yeah, well, they call those Latin terms legalese, not proton, pro se, all of those things. Those are Latin, and even things like herein lies. That's American words. That's not even Latin, but that's legalese. Herein lies doesn't mean herein lies. Herein means that right there. Herein lies, you might think herein lies like inside this box lies a pair of sneakers. Herein lies this, no, it means that's legalese. When they word things that you think it means this because it says um thereof, right? Thereof sounds like thereof, but thereof is like is. Thereof is not means you understand what I'm saying? That's legalese. That's not Latin. It's American words, but those American words are put in a way that it sounds like, but it's not what it sounds. That's legalese. It doesn't necessarily mean Latin, although a lot of those words are Latin words. So the Latin is not legalese. The way they word things. You understand what I'm saying? That's what a black law dictionary is. When you read a black law dictionary, it'll show you black is not black. A person is not a person. Legalese, a citizen is not a citizen as you think what a citizen is in legalese or mortgage and all of these word semantics. It starts getting into word semantics. Everybody, one thing for sure, two things for certain. With this chat GBTV and Siri and all of these search engines, everybody know everything. You can't even talk nowadays. If I say I understand, they be like, "Oh, it's understand, brothers, understand or overstand." You can't say understand. And do you know where the term come from? It's legalese. Understand is to put yourself under someone's jurisdiction. That's legalese. It's not a language. It's a way of wording things that makes it legalese, not a language. It's just a lot of the legal jargons are Latin. Just like when you meet a demon, they speak Latin. Most of them speak Latin. When they say Latin is the sex language, no, Latin is demonic. When you hear them, and then again, this is not against the or even any of the Catholics who we may have in here, but the Roman Catholics, Latin, a lot of them ancient demons. Like when you watch things like The Fallen and you watch certain things, demons speak a certain languages. Most of them they can't speak American, they can speak whatever you speak, but their native tongue is an ancient Latin. Those are ancient languages. And there's a reason why we speak Latin and we go by the Gregorian calendar and all of these Latin things and all of this shit. There's a reason why. It's draconian. A lot of it is draconian, I believe. So don't tell me about my Christ being no myth. What the hell you talking about? They use Latin because dummies like you think it's demonic. So it works. They who? Who? You talking about in court or you talking about demonic, the demons? Do you have do do you have jurisdiction or talking out your ass? Nah, I don't I didn't declare my nationality. I didn't do any of that yet. I didn't do any of it yet. But I have jurisdiction automatically because I have a relationship with the Most High, Yahshua Yahweh. So I have jurisdiction. Spiritually, I have jurisdiction. Whatever happens with me down on this third dimension before we enter a square, before we enter a field of court, before I walk through the gates, and I'm out of their jurisdiction because I have a natural relationship with Yahshua Yahweh. So before anything is done to me, it has to be brought to the higher realms. I go to a spiritual court before I ever leave a physical court, and access is denied. That's why I use Yahshua Yahweh because when you're vibrating high, when somebody goes to cast a spell on you or do any forms of witchcraft, it has to be taken to the higher realms. They have to use a spirit in any form of magic or witchcraft. There is a spirit, not the person. The person is not how do you say? It's not a like you know how the Jedi's and when you watch the movies and the Jedi could tell, they'll tell the warriors, they'll be like, he's not in the car, and they'll look in the car and see Luke and be like, or Obi-Wan Kenobi, and Obi-Wan Kenobi will look at the soldier and be like, he's not in here. And they'll look at Obi-Wan Kenobi and be like, he's not in here, right? That was Obi-Wan Kenobi's Jedi mind tricks, they call it. He's so in tune with the force. He has so much of the force or the source or the all in all within him that he can purposely trick that person's mind. Well, and witchcraft is not so. They're not doing it themselves. They're using the spirit. So when they want to put a spirit of sickness on you or forgetfulness on you, they have to summons the spirit and then the spirit enacts that on you, right? So when you're vibrating high, you're not in there under their jurisdiction. So what happens is you have someone like Christ or Archangel Angel Michael or Raphael, because Raphael bonded the spirits Asmodeus, cancel that name, and from Sarah and Tobit, right? He was the one who went and bond that spirit. So before somebody goes to do that, they be like, nah, access denied. Who? Him? Nah, you can't mess with him. Leave him alone. That's the most powerful jurisdiction. That's the most, you'll never land in the court. You'll never land in the court because the deed will never get done because it gets handled on the spiritual realm. So no, I haven't filled out the physical paperwork, but the spiritual paperwork, I'm already contracted in that. I already took a stand. Some people don't understand themselves. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's a why they doing my boy like that? Yes, because there's an actual secret society of demons that leads the world, hence why Revelations was written. And guess what? They have a hierarchy, they have laws, and they have things that they have to do, and they have rules and regulations. They're not lawless. We think demons is lawless. We think Satan worshipers are lawless. We think practitioners of witchcraft are lawless. No, they still have to be disciplined. They still have to follow rules. They still have to study. They still have to meditate. They still have to have belief. They still have to have discipline. Nothing is lawless. Only the laymen, only the people in the middle, the people who are not fully pious on good religion, and those who are not fully engulfed by darkness. Only the people in the middle waver. The people who are really good are pious and strong in their belief. And the people who are really what we call bad, they're pious in their belief too. They meditate, they fast, they pray, they believe, they venerate, they have their altars and they put stuff on their altars religiously, faithfully. I appreciate you for the gift. Thank you for the gift. It goes both ways. They're doing the same thing. They're doing the same thing. The only ones who just waver and just walk around, I say doo 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 doo. Those who just walk around and don't know which way they going. They do their best to do good, but always do bad. Only the people in the middle don't have discipline and laws that they govern and go by. Both sides do, good and bad, light and dark. They have rules. Demons have a hierarchy. They have lessers, and they have shit that they have to go by. If access is denied, access is denied. Most of the little ones, and that's why it's imperative that I stay focused, because the more you vibrate high, and the more you think you know something, and the more you think you know Christ and you know God and you walking with light, guess what? They don't send little you understand what I'm saying? It's like a war. They send a tanks in for you. They're not gonna send in the foot soldiers. They're gonna send the tanks, they're gonna send a couple of jets, they're gonna bomb, they're gonna really send the pain at you when you vibrating high like that. The little ones ain't gonna come for you. You understand what I'm saying? The little ones ain't gonna come for you. I appreciate it. I appreciate you, beloved. I thank you. But it's not me. The Holy Spirit takes over. I read. I read a lot of things, but it's not reading. I promise you, it's not. It's not. When you down here and you fighting the spiritual war and you conscious of who you are and you listen when the universe talks, you understand. It's not. It goes beyond reading at that point. The only thing reading does when you get to that point is it it's clarification. You understand? It shows you what you actually living and what you're going through. Or you might go through something and then you'll read something and it'll give you clear understanding of what you actually was going through. That's all reading do when you down here and your third eye is really open and you really vibrating high. Reading is not, you don't read. This is what the laymen do. This is what most people do. They read something and they like the point of view and they stick by it. Like they'll read about the Anunnaki, and it makes sense. Oh yeah, the Anunnaki, that's who really made man. They came down here, made man, and they'll stand on it. Or they read about the flat Earth and the ice wall, and they'll stick solidly. Yeah, the ice wall is true. The planet is flat. We under a dome, and it's a firmament. And they'll read this shit, and they see it all over social media, and it might make sense. And God forbid they watch a movie like the what's the movie with my man Jim Carrey, the Truman Show. Yeah, they'll watch the Truman Show and be like, see, that's it. We're under a dome. We're under a dome, underwater, trapped behind the ice wall. And they'll just be so adamant about that. And they just read some shit. They ain't experienced nothing. They ain't astral projected. They ain't never left the planet and looked down and seen the round planet. You know what I'm saying? They read some shit and they just take an automatic stance against it. Or they read something against another religion because, they're Christian, and they'll read some shit against Islam and it might make perfectly good sense. And then they'll stand by that, something they read. It's a difference between knowledge and wisdom and understanding. There's a difference between knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. Knowledge, anybody could read some shit and become smart. Anybody could read some shit and become smart. Like somebody in the chat said, the Freemasons, the Rosicrucians, the Order of the Golden Dawn. Uh, we could go on and on. All these sacred orders, they all have all these ancient texts and esoteric knowledge, and they read all of this shit about the sun, moons, and stars, and all this esoteric great shit. But they ain't never applied it. They ain't never cast out no spirits. They ain't never healed themselves. They ain't never manifested what they thought. They ain't never astral project. They ain't never did nothing. They just read a bunch of shit and take a standpoint on it. And that's what happens to the majority of humans down here. We read some shit and take a standpoint of it. When you start allowing Jesus to take the wheel, or like in Star Wars, when Luke was flying from Darth Vader and he was trying to get away from Darth Vader and Darth Vader was on him, and then he heard Obi-Wan in his mind, and what Obi-Wan said to him, it said, let go, Luke. Allow the force. Allow the force. And what he did, he turned off all of the autopilot. He turned off all that shit, and he flew the ship with his inner being. He reached out with his soul. He reached out and became the ship, became when the ship he was flying through. He took over the ship with his spirit and he began to fly. And when he took over, when he turned off all of the stuff, and remember, the people was like, Luke, what are you doing? They're like, he's switching off the autopilot. They said, Luke, what are you doing? You got Darth Vader behind you. He about to blow you up. He turned all that shit off because Obi-Wan spoke in his mind and he says, let the force, Luke. That's what Christians say. He let go and let God. And he let go and let God. And he started moving the ship with his spirit. And what did Darth Vader behind him say? Darth Vader is with the Force too, but he's on the dark side of the Force. But because he's with the Force, he felt that. And what did he say? The Force is strong on this one. He felt it. He felt the force. He said, the force is strong on this one. They not reading a book. Darth Vader didn't read no book. Obi-Wan taught him when he was Anakin before he became Darth Vader, right? The same Obi-Wan who was just in his mind and taught him. They not reading the script. They're not flying. They're not so good at flying those Star Cruisers because they read the manual. They are good at flying them Star Cruisers because they know how to become one with the Star Cruiser. You understand what I'm saying? They have the force. The force is with them. When the force is with you, it's not about reading. It's about doing. You have to do. Don't sit and read the manual and tell somebody how to fly the ship when they never had to read the manual to fly the ship. They flying the ship without the manual, and here you come with rhetoric. Did you read chapter 6 and 7 where it says the ship is thou ship, and people want to come and they memorize the whole script on how to fly the motherfucking machine, and they want to come to you and talk to you with rhetoric, but they ain't never flew the ship. They just read the manual. Does that make sense? It's not about knowledge. I don't give a damn what you read. I read all that shit too. Most of it. That shit don't mean nothing. That shit don't mean nothing. I appreciate you, Kim. Thank you for the sub. Thank you. But can you make it work for you, not without the guidance of the creator, the one, the all? But can you make it work for you, not without the guidance of the creator or the all in all? I don't get what you're saying. Word that better. Word that better. I don't get what you're saying, Lewis. Word that better. Can one ask? How does one astral project? I did it twice in my life, and I'm only saying this astral projection because when you read the books and what it says astral projection actually is, and I read it and I said, okay, I did that. I did it twice. I did it in dreaming. I was dreaming. I was asleep. I was asleep when I did it. There are people who could consciously do it. How? I don't really know. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I read some things on how to do it, but I'm not gonna read something that I don't know. I'm not gonna regurgitate some knowledge that I'm not even sure of. Because when I did it, I didn't do nothing that the book said to do. The book said to do particular things. And when I did it twice, I didn't even do it on purpose. But what astral projection means is for you to be consciously somewhere else and you're conscious of being there and you're really actually there, but your physical body is elsewhere, meaning your body's not present, but your spirit is, or your a piece of your soul or spirit, because if your soul left your body, you will probably unalive. So your cord is not tethered. That silver cord is not tethered. So, and the reason I knew I astral projected, because in both cases, I was physically somewhere and I was asleep. I was in a sleep state. I was in a dream state. One time was with my baby mom. She was cheating with somebody. I was locked up. I was in solitary confinement, and I had a dream that she was having sexual relations with another man, and I saw it. But in the dream, this is crazy too, because I was in her closet, and the closet that we had at the time was one of those closets. I think it's called Venetian doors or French doors, where they got like the slits in the wood. It's like a panel with slits in the wood. Well, I was in her closet looking through the slits in the wood, and she was having sex with another man. I woke up and the dream was so real. I was like 19. I was locked up. I was in the box. So I woke up and I started banging on the door. I caused uh a big scene. The COs came. I told them I needed to see a counselor. Somebody in my family had died. I was a street nigga. I had no. I would speak the worst over people just to get what I want at that time. So I said somebody in my family died. I needed to speak to that person, or I was gonna cause hell in the prison, or and whatever the case may be. And they called the pastor at the time. They allowed me to use the phone. I called my baby mom the next morning, and as soon as they realized that I was talking to her, I was like, "You sleeping with somebody else?" They hung the phone up on me. They drug me back to the cell. This was in the 90s. Maybe like 15 years later, 16 years later, me and her was together chilling one day. And she was like, something happened. And I was like, yeah, it's probably. She was like, boy, I don't be liking to tell you right. Because when I tell you right, you already think you psychic. So I ain't want to tell you right. But you do be right. You was right about whatever, whatever, whatever. She was like, you remember that time you called me from jail? And you called me and you start cussing me out and then hung up on me. She ain't know that I ain't hang up. It was it was the pastor from the jail and the COs. They gave me the call thinking I needed to call a relative because somebody was deceased. And when they heard me talking to her, yo, you was sleeping with somebody, they hung up on me. So she was like, remember that time you called me and hung up and called me, cursed me, told me I was sleeping with somebody and hung the phone up on me? I was like, yeah. She was like, I ain't never admit this to you. She was like, but that was the first night I slept with so and so. That was the first night. And when you called, because I called twice, she said, when you first called, I snuck out the bed and then you called back. And I was in the bathroom. I answered the phone for you in the bathroom. And then you cursed me out and hung up on me. She was like, but that was the first night I slept with him. And I was like, how the hell did you know that? What she don't know was I didn't know. I dreamt that I was watching them from the closet doing what they was doing. Now, if you watch the movie, the cartoon Monster Inc., where does the monsters coming through the bedroom to scare the little children from the closet? Closets and under beds is where monsters come from. And there's a reason why, because closets and under beds are portals. A bed is an altar. Anything that is risen by four corners, like they say, four corners of the earth, anything that has four pillars representing the four corners or the four things that represent everything in matter, right? Protons, neutron, hydrogen, oxygen, north, south, east, west. These four corners are the things that relate matter. Four is the number of matter. So when you put something on a bed, a chair, or altar, even a door with its four corners, these are portals. A circle. That's why stargates are circles. But anything that has four corners is 90 degrees, right? Three 90-degree angles make what? 360 degrees, which what is a circle? A circle is what? A cipher, which is a portal, right? So for whatever reason, I came through that portal with a closet. I astral projected it and I saw that. That's what happened once. The second time, a friend of mine's mother was in a coma. I had a dream that I seen her in the front of our building. She told me to bring her son to Christ, that she knew that I changed my life and gave my life to Christ, and she wanted me to lead her son to Jesus Christ. This is what his mother told me. I woke up the next morning. I called home. I hadn't called home in months. I wasn't in the box this time, but I was locked up again. And I called home and I called my aunt, and she was like, yeah, baby, you know Miss So-and-so? Yeah, she passed away this morning. What? I didn't even know she was sick. Yeah, she been in a coma. She passed away this morning. So again, and I told one of my spiritual enlightener, my big brother with spirituality, I told him what happened. And he said, yeah, you didn't have a dream. Y'all met on the astral realm. Before she left, y'all met. We met on our building, the building where I grew up at, where her son grew up at. We met in front of her building, and she told me to lead her son back to Christ, that she was proud of me, and that she loved me, and she gave me a hug. I astral projected to my building. She was there because she was in unconscious in a coma, and before she left, she she made amends with me and allowed to make amends with me about my friend. That's the two times that I know I astral projected. I was I was spiritually there. We was there together. So when I read in a book on how to astral project, I don't really know because the stuff that I read, I didn't do none of the stuff. I wasn't thinking about her and I wasn't thinking about my baby mother. I went to sleep. I was in the dream state and my spirit led me to those two places where I had a connection. I stood alone in my four corner room staring at candles. All right, Bushwick Bill. Oh, that no, that's Scarface said that actually. You making sense, bro. I try to, beloved, and I promise you, this ain't shit that I read. I could only tell you experiences. I can't rattle off shit that I read. When I start reading something that I read, I'm a stutter. I gotta look up and search my brain for the information. But when I'm speaking shit that I've been through, I can speak shit that I've been through. You know what I'm saying? And that's all I ever try to do. So me, I don't go back and forth for religious dogma. I don't want to get on these platforms and debate. I see some of these brothers, they read a couple of books and they live to debate. I ain't on here for that. Whatever you believe, you believe. Every possibility is endless. Your God exists just as well as anybody else's God exists. They all exist. As long as a person could conceive it and enough people believe it, it exists. Them kids believed in Slender Man, and they start thinking about Slender Man, and they created an entity, and somewhere that entity exists, they may have pulled that entity into this third dimension, and them little girls unalive their friend because Slender Man told them to do so. We are what we think. And if enough of us believe it, we will manifest it. We can create a God. If 100,000 people believe in bark, the God of bark will cometh thou and bless thou with thou barketh. Is energy. It's a collective conscious. We're energy. We're all gods. And whatever we give our energy, if we give our energy to something, it will empower it. Something will sense our sense of belief and we will form and it will form that sense of belief. And we believe it. We will achieve it. Aliens is not real. The problem is the US government. I mean, all right. I don't believe in aliens, but I know they exist. I don't believe in aliens, but I know they exist. If we believe the stories, if we really floating around on a globe and this globe is spinning around as it rotates on its own axis, it's spinning around a sun, and there's 9 other planets in the solar system all rotating around this center sun, and this sun and all of us are one galaxy, and this galaxy rotates around another galactic sun and another galaxy. If all of that, if that, I ain't left, I didn't astral project to Mars and look back down on Earth, so I don't know. You understand what I'm saying? But if all of that is real, how could we ever believe that this is it? If we go by what they say, if they say we just the earth is just one grain of sand on a beach, if that is true, then how we ever gonna say that there is aliens? How could we say that dogs don't walk and talk and birds don't walk and talk somewhere else? Man, you know how many that means the possibilities are endless. There are endless possibilities if the earth, as big as this earth is, as big as this planet is, and as many souls, if there's really, what is it, 8 billion people? If there's really 8 billion people here, 300 million in America, right? If there's 8 billion people on this planet, this one lowly little planet, and you're saying that there's 9 other ones in this galaxy that we could see, and this is just one galaxy in thousands and millions of galaxies, you be retarded to say that there's no such thing as aliens or life on other planets. You think that this is it? Does anything work like that? What do you see down here that there's just one of? I'm just saying. Other than this planet, what do you see on Earth that there's just one of? Nah, I'm saying one, just one. There's only one of it. What is there only one of it? Not something that we put a title on, like there's only one president or one queen of England. That's the shit we put titles on. So there's only one of that shit. Other than that, what here in this realm of reality that there's only one of? That even goes to the one God theory. And I'm not, what people believe is what people believe. I'm not here to take away from that. They need to believe in something. But that's even goes to the one God theory. Like there's one God that created all this shit that gets jealous of other gods that don't really exist. I can't point at nothing and say, yo, it's only one of that. What is there only one of? You show me. Show me something there's only one of down this motherfucker. That is only one. There ain't no only one of nothing. One of me? You right, there is only one of me, but there ain't. Cause I got attributes of my father. My father got the same gap tooth. He got the same, his nose ain't as big as mine, but he got the same nose. You know what I'm saying? I look like my mom's and my father. If you knew my mom, you're gonna say, you look just like your mother. I'm one of those. You ever know those children who, if you with the mother, he looks just like the mother, but if he with the father, he look just like the father? I'm one of those. I look just like my mother. But people who only know my father, if I put me and my father up here, you'll say I look just like my father. If I put a picture of my mother up here, you'll say I look just like my mother. I'm one of those. So you could say there's only one of me, but is there only one of me? Hmm. I have a daughter who has these little dimples. She don't got this nose, but she got this lips. She got this attitude. Is there only one of me? I got a mother, father, three daughters. Is there only one of me though? What my great 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 grandfather looked like? He probably looked just like me. I'm one of them souls. I come from an oversoul. I come from a powerful monad. So I'm sure if I had pictures of 5 or 6, 15 generations, somewhere, somebody in that generational tree look just like me. Because I have that soul. This soul right here, this is an old soul. So I already existed before in this. So is there really one of me? Nah. Nah. We could go back 100 years and it was another of me. Me. Probably not talking just like this, but it definitely exists. I ain't even mean to rhyme. That shit just rap like that. Damn, I ain't, it's 170 something people in here. I can't see the number, so I'm just talking. I ain't even know it was all of this in here. I would have said some more deeper esoteric shit if I knew it was 200 people in here. How's everyone doing? I like the kind of conversation, but this is only one creator. But there is only one creator. All right. We created our children. Who created YouTube? They call that a creator. Who created the Yankees? Who created Cartier? Who created Nike? Not just Nike, the name Nike, because Nike is just what? Victory. Victory is the God. God, Nike, victory, Nike, Victoria. Nike is victory, who's a goddess of, but I don't know. You might be right. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you have all the sense and I don't got a dime. Maybe you got all the sense. There's a multitude of creators. There's a multitude of creators. Now, if you're talking about the ineffable, the all in all, from which all of our spirits and souls emanate, then there's one of those, but that is everything. So there's not one because it's everything, right? If we God, if you are God, and we all are God, then how could it be one? Because we all represent the God. We are here of God representing itself. We're experiencing the creation within the creation because we are the creation, but we are the creators. If that makes any sense. There's only one creator. Would be specific. Be specific now. There's a lot of creators, but you wouldn't say there's only one creator of what? The heavens and the earth? Because he did say, let us make man in our image. That's what the book said. I'm just saying. Create anything is 10 out of 10 of the law. Makes 100% sense. I ain't even trying to. I'm just saying. There's only one creator, but the creator said, let us make man in our image. So that particular creator had help if you believe in the story. That creator said, let us go down and confuse man's languages, least not he make it to heaven. I'm just saying. The serpent in the Bible said in the Garden of Eden, he said, yeah, you could become like what? Like God, knowing good and evil, if you believe the story. So when you say there's only one creator, creator of what? Creator of what? I'm creating right now. I'm creating content. I'm a content creator. You ain't gotta call me a content guy. All right, I ain't a content guy, but I'm definitely a content creator, right? So if I'm a content creator, I had to what? Create. Who created the building you in? Who created this? Who created the wheel? Who created the airplanes that's flying over, dumping these chemtrails down on us? Who created it? Somebody created it. Did the all in all created it? The creator, the most high creator? Because we all created down here. We create all the time. I'm just saying. There's only one creator. How is that emphatically impossible when we create every single day? It's impossible for to be one creator. Now, tell me there's only one all in all because that one all in all isn't even one because the all in all is in all. If there's a force, right, or the source, or the all in all, the force and the source is in all of us. We are the force and we are the source. So even the all in all, the ineffable one, right? The end all be all. I don't even like to use the term God when I'm explaining the ineffable one because when you read the Gnostic text, it says the ineffable one, the all in all, the source. You can't say God. They ain't. That's not God. That's the all in all. There is a God. There's a bunch of gods. There's a bunch of creators, but the all in all, ineffable one is not a creator because it is. You understand? It's like a painter. The painter could be the creator, right? You hand the painter I forgot what you call it, a canvas, right? You hand the painter the canvas and the painter gets to creating. So if the all in all is the painter, right? And if the canvas is what? The canvas is God within itself. But what if I told you that the all in all is the canvas, the painter, and the paint? But the minute the canvas was just a canvas, the minute somebody touched that canvas with a speck of paint, that speck of paint decided to be a god. And that speck of paint decided to paint the whole canvas. And once it painted the whole canvas and the canvas became protons, neutrons, you know what I'm saying? Atoms, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, and all the things it takes to be in this physical matter, right? When this thing started light, dark, positive, negative, then it became duality. All of this took place on the canvas. Guess what? The all in all is the canvas, the painter, and everything within it. So it can't be just one because it's everything that's within its canvas, from the paint to the painter to the canvas itself. That's the all in all. That is the ineffable one. That right there is impossible for that right there to be the creator. It's impossible because it is. It is all that there is to all. The minute you decide to create, that means something already existed if you can create. Does that make any sense? If you decide to create, then something already existed. You have to have tools to create. You have to have something to sustain this creation. There has to be somewhere for this creation to exist. So if you are a creator, then that means there's already creation because you can't create without a platform, without a canvas. So the all in all is not a creator. The all in all is the source of everything. From within that everything, itself began to create once it became conscious within itself. Those are the creators that you speak of, but it's not just one. Those are the gods that you speak of, but it's not just one. The all in all, the ineffable one, you can't imagine. Because if you could imagine it, then it could be imaginable. So that means it's not the all in all. If you could even imagine it or fathom it, it's impossible for it to be jealous of itself. It is impossible for it to be angry because in order to be angry, you have to become anger. Anger could not fit the the in infinite or ineffable one within the spirit of anger. So it can't become angry because it is angry. It is what makes angry angry. It is make what's jealous jealousy. If your God can become jealous, then that means your God has to shrink itself down to become itself in the form of jealousy. How could it become jealousy and it's everything? How could something that's everything ever be jealous of everything which is within itself? Damn, y'all. I don't know if I took a shroom. I feel like I done took a shroom or smoked some good weed. I swear, when the spirits start to moving, it start to grooving. It's impossible, man. It's impossible. And I don't be trying to deplete or deter nobody from their belief system. I just be telling it like it is in all reality. You understand what I'm saying? If I'm the father and I create the spirit of jealousy, the spirit of anger, the spirit of hate, man, female, if all of these things spawn from me, how could I ever go back into it and be mad at my children for idolizing something that I knew they supposed to idolize because they're babies. A baby is a baby. Do I get jealous when my baby cry for my sister because my sister always get a baby candy and she always bouncing the baby on his knee? So when it's time for my sister to leave and the baby start, you can't go with her. I know you like her. You want her to give you candy. I know why you like her so much. Can I actually be jealous of my child? Jealous of my sister, so I unalive my child because I'm jealous because I know why the child likes my sister. I know why my children pray to Yahweh. I know why my children venerate Jesus Christ. I know why some of my children worship the devil. I understand that. I understand. I know why. I am I before forethought, before anger, before light, before dark, before up, before down, I existed and it all exists within me. So when you leave from me or separate yourself from me and go to play, how could I ever have an emotion, right? About what you're doing? How could I ever have something as small as an emotion about what you're doing? How could I ever have that when I understand that you're gonna have that? Only a God feels that way. Only a creator God feels that way. Only a he God or a she God, him with hands in the back and a jealous and mad. And let me see they God do this and let me see they God do that. Or I destroyed the earth because I regretted even making man. Is that your God? That's okay. That's for that to be your God. Just go by the tenets and believe it wholeheartedly and you'll be all right. That's your God. I don't have a God. I have a connection with the all in all. If I was to have a God, it would have to be the God of Jesus Christ because the God of Jesus Christ came with more of his soul and came to show me that I'm an eternal soul and I can manipulate time, space, and matter and have a real relationship with the all in all, which exists within me. Because, like he said in John chapter 10, the 34th verse, is it not written that ye are gods? When he said that, they moved to kill him. They try to unalive him right there. Oh, you saying you God? Is it not written that you are gods? And they moved. That's when they said, oh, we got to get rid of him. Oh, we got to get him out of here. We got to get him all the way out of here. He got to go. You understand what I'm saying? He knew what was going on. He said, man, they don't know. Let me just go down here. He said, listen, forget about the law of Moses. This is kind of what he said. I don't care what y'all say. Y'all could attack me. This is kind of what he said. Listen, forget all about the law of Moses. That was written with man hands. He actually said that. That was written with man hands on man tablets, talking about the Testament. All you got to do, because they said, teacher, what is the most powerful of the 10 commandments? He said, listen, love thy God with all our heart and to love your brother as you love yourself. If you do that, you good and you Gucci. But what about the law of divorce? Can't we divorce? He said, nah, I don't divorce. You know, he said, because Moses knew that y'all was hard in the heart. So he letting you know, like, Moses told y'all to do certain shit because he understood that y'all understood certain things. But now I'm here to let you know, like, don't even do none of that. Matter of fact, you shouldn't even be getting married. But because I know that you can't be by yourself, you might as well get married. Because if you don't get married, you're going to be running around doing all kind of shit. But be like me and don't even get married. Be like me and don't even have a girlfriend or a boyfriend. But doesn't that go against what God said in the Garden of Eden? Be fruitful and multiply. Because that God in that Bible, in the beginning of that Bible, in the Garden of Eden, He didn't tell us to be kind. He didn't tell us to love us. He didn't tell us to worship us. The only thing He said to Adam and Eve is, "Don't touch the fruit from the tree of knowledge and good and evil, and live forever, and be fruitful and multiply." And then He boogied. That's all He said. He didn't say worship me. He didn't say love each other. He didn't say none of that. Read it. Read your Bible. Read your book. He ain't say none of that. Because that ain't the all in all, y'all. It's not. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Christ knew that. So Christ said, I'm going to go down there and show them how to be God, show them how to live, how to vibrate on a certain vibration, and give them what they're ready for. They ain't ready for all this shit I got up here and in here. He knew we wasn't ready for that shit. He said, they're not even ready for that shit. I'm not even going to give them none of that. He gave them bits and pieces, and every time he gave them a bit and a piece, they moved to stone him. Who was he beefing with? Think about it. The religious scholars. Thank you, Marlo. I appreciate you. Who he was going at, the religious scholars. That's who he was going back and forth with, the religious scholars, the keepers of the law of Moses, the Sadducees and the Pharisees. They were the keepers of the law. They the ones who knew the law back and forth. That's who he was going back and forth with. He didn't go back and forth with regular people. I appreciate you, Carla. Thank you. He didn't go back and forth with them. He would just tell them like, yo, listen, I know y'all studied this shit like the back of y'all hand. I know y'all got the best seats in the house. I know who y'all think y'all is, but you ain't living this shit, so I don't want to. I'm not gonna go back and forth with you. I know y'all don't know. Y'all think the God of Moses is the God of Jacob. Y'all think the God of Jacob is the God of David and Solomon. Y'all know can't be the God of Solomon. Y'all seen what he was doing. Did y'all read it? Did y'all read it? How could he tell David that you my only begotten son, a man after my own heart, and then tell Jesus Christ that you my only begotten son, the man after my own heart? That's because he was the begotten son of that particular God, and he was the only begotten son of that particular God. David made human sacrifices. They don't be reading their book, y'all. I'm telling you, they don't be reading their book. He made a human sacrifice. I can show y'all. I can't wait till I get my computer. We can have Bible studies. And I'm gonna put it up there and I'm gonna put the scriptures and we can fast forward, rewind, and revamp, and we can go back and forth. David made human sacrifices. That is a fact. Why? To the God of the Gibeonites, a group of people he wasn't even supposed to be dealing with. Why? Because one guy said don't deal with the Gibeonites, one guy said he could. When he went and got Saul's daughter had what? A graven statue in her bed. Remember that? Remember the story when they came looking and it was the statue in the bed? They thought it was David. Why does she have a graven statue? Where in scripture did it say that it was okay for her to have a graven statue for witchcraft in her bed? And this is David's wife. How was that even allowed? How was that even allowed? How come in the book of Hosea it says, "Do not bake cakes with raisins in them, for those cakes with raisins in them are to the goddess Astarte. And if you bake cakes with raisins in them, that is for the goddess Astarte. And I tell you, children of Israel, do not eat those cakes and deal with those cakes." But we see David after the war dancing in front of the Ark of the Covenant, butt ass naked, passing out what? Cakes of raisin. Can't make this shit up. Can't make this shit up. How could he pass out cakes of raisins after a war when cakes of raisins are to the goddess Astarte? When he danced around the thing naked in front of all of the women, and his wife got so jealous that she spited him, and then God cursed her with barrenness and said that she would never able to have children because she was jealous of her husband dancing in front of the people naked. The Urim and the Thummim, which is also some things that you shake up and it speaks to you as God. But some prophets had a direct relationship with God where they didn't need the Urim and the Thummim. They didn't need the staff. It said Christ would come without a staff. He would not need a staff. And in the book of Hosea, it speaks of the prophet not needing. He says, "O ye Israel, for you depend on your staffs and the magic from these staffs and these magical wands that all of the prophets had, most of them." Do we supposed to have a staff or are we not supposed to have a staff? Are we supposed to consort with the Urim and the Thummim, or do we speak to God directly? Do we go to the holies of holies and have these stones or these crystals on his breastplate of righteousness and use this as a means to talk to us because God dwelleth in a tent? But then it says God don't dwelleth in a tent. But in the time of the Israelites, in the time of the oh man, come on, y'all. The Levites, God dwelleth in the tents. But then it'll tell you God don't dwelleth in the tents, that God dwelleth in the heart. So is he in the heart or is he in the tents? Is he a he or she is she? He got hands or do he got a back? You can't see God and live, or did Moses see God? The same God that Jacob wrestled with, or did he wrestle with God, or was he wrestling with an entity or energy when he said, "What's your name?" And he still wrestled with God to the break of dawn. But no man could see God. But he saw God, and Moses saw God. They saw a God. They all saw a God. And Christ knew all this shit was confusing. So he just came down and said, man, forget all of that. Y'all can do what I could do. Love God, love yourself as brothers. That's it. All of the religious shit and all of the books, all that shit is gonna be misconstrued. And I know it's gonna be misconstrued. So because I know it's gonna be misconstrued, just do what I do and follow what I follow, and y'all can do the same shit that I was doing. Just do it. I know y'all not gonna understand the scriptures. I know y'all fully didn't know what was going on. Shit, I don't even fully know what was going on. But do this, and you're gonna be all right. That's what that was his that was what he came to show. Listen, I know y'all gonna be confused. That shit was written by the hands of man on some physical shit. What I'm saying is forget all of the shit that was written. Just act like this. That's it. Act like this and you Gucci. Have this belief, have this power, and you too have this authority. Come on out that boat and walk on over here to me, Peter. Oh, you got scared. He said, ye with little faith. That's why he couldn't walk on the water. Not because he wasn't God, not because he wasn't Jesus, not because Jesus was his personal God in the sky. He said, walk to me. And he walked a little bit. But when the wind blew, he got scared and he fell in the water. He said, oh, he with little faith. You could do what I'm doing, beloved. Is it not written in your scriptures that ye are gods? You got religious rhetoric, people who sit down and read a bunch of shit. Then you got people who outside doing some shit. Get me more subscribers. I appreciate you. I appreciate you, Wayne. For real, I appreciate y'all. I really appreciate y'all. I thank y'all. This phone is on 9%. I can't believe I've been here this long, and it actually rocked out a little bit. I started at 444. I if it I got 9%. So if it rocks, I'll try to let it rock to 744. But I'm on 9%. It should be all right. I probably got another what's that, 39 minutes? No, 44. Damn, my math ain't mathing right now. 35. Yeah. I probably got another 35 minutes. My phone on 9% right now. But yeah. So yeah, it's the ineffable one is not a creator. You can say the most high, but when you say the most high, just realize that you're saying the most high on this dimension, in this physical realm. There is a most high. Christ did have a father. He was sent by his father. Him and his father is one because he come from the same monad. That is his oversoul. You understand what I'm saying? That's not the ineffable all in all though. When it speaks about Christ speaks of himself in third person because he overstood that when he came, he would be coming in his higher form, in his highest state of being. That's why he says, when the Son of Man comes, he is going to be on a cloud. He is going to do this. He's talking about himself. Why is he speaking about himself as if himself ain't himself? The same reason why he speaks about God and himself being one, and then God being the Father and he being unlike the Father, but then he is like the Father because there is a monad, there is an oversoul. He overstood that when he did come back in that time, when he came back, he was going to come back in that ship. That ain't heaven coming out the sky. I'm just telling you. When it gives the dimensions and it's milk and honey, and the gate is this cubic wide and this many 12 different gates for the 12 souls of the 12 tribes of Judah, whether you think it's the 12 zodiac signs or, half of the 24 elders within yourself, which is light and dark, male and female, and you are the 24 elders, whichever way you slice it. When it gives the dimensions, in a physical realm of a physical throne, and he says that he's going to physically come, and you seeing that stuff on in Revelations, that is all physical shit. That is a race realm of reality outside of this realm of reality, but it's not the heaven, the spiritual heaven where your dead soul will lie. That will be your physical self and your higher self in a higher realm, in a higher dimension, and they may come in a physical ship to take your ass to a higher dimension because that's what they're describing. The all in all don't sit on no throne, have no right hand at the right hand and sitting at the right hand, and you sitting on the throne before the throne and all of that. That is your monad. That is your higher self. That's why there's 8 billion people on this planet Earth. And how if there's 8 billion people currently on the planet Earth, how many billions of people been here since the beginning of time? So when they speak of 144,000, how is there only 144,000? Because there's 144,000 oversouls who we all emanated from. This is what the tribe of Levi, the tribe of Judah, the tribe of Dan, these different tribes, these are different soul groups. And just because you are in your mother's household with your 5 brothers and sisters and your mother and father, it don't mean y'all all came from the tribe of Israel or the tribe of Judah or the tribe of Dan. That is a soul group. You may have been born into, let's just say, the Edomites. You might not even be born into the tribe of Judah. You may be a tribe of Judah. You might have came through a mother and father who is born of a tribe of Edomites, because it's not a spiritual, I mean, it's not a religious thing and it's not a racial thing. It is a spirit thing. It may be in your spirit that you are a child of God. It may be in your spirit that you are a child of Christ, that you are a follower of Christ, that you are the one who he says only go to the children of Israel. When he told that lady by the water, he said, no, I only came for the children of Israel. This is what Christ said out of his mouth. He said, only go to the children of Israel. So he ain't come for everybody because he overstood that what he said to them, what he said to the religious leaders. He said, for I tell you, you were like your father, Satan, for you worship in the synagogue of Satan. This is what he said. So he overstood that their soul, they emanated from a soul group that came from Satan. They came from that vibration. That's where their souls emanated from. He didn't say the children of Israel because they looked a certain way or simply because they was born to a certain family. He said that because it was in their soul DNA. They emanated from the spirit of Satan. And if Joseph was not his father, then how could the promise come through the tribe of Judah when Joseph was from the tribe of Judah and Mary was from the tribe of Levi? It's because even though, let's just say hypothetically, if you believe in immaculate conception, and they didn't lay down and have Jesus the regular way. So the reason why Joseph, he came through the tribe of Joseph, which was the tribe of Judah, Joseph came from the lineage of David, um, you know what I'm saying, all the way down to Judah or Israel, all the way back down to Isaac, all the way back down to Abraham, right? He was traced back to Abraham, and Abraham came from who? Seth or Set. Set, he became the replacement for the one who was unalive, right? And then Noah, and Noah became the one who populated the earth. And from Noah came um Shem, excuse me. And from Noah came Shem, excuse me. Shem came from Noah. Set, Noah, then Shem, and then from Shem came Abraham, and then from Abraham came Isaac, then from Isaac came Jacob, and from Jacob became, you know, the whole lineage of David and all of them, which led to Joseph, which was supposedly Jesus' stepfather. So why in the book of Matthew did it trace Jesus' roots through Joseph? If Joseph wasn't his father, but let's say whether he was or he wasn't, even if he physically wasn't, and he was immaculately concepted, guess why they still cleaning his lineage? Because that's where his soul came from. It's a soul group. This is why three children could come from Noah and his wife, but they all had different nations, weren't they? Just read your Bible. They all came from different nations, and they came. Joseph and Mary is a fairy tale. Okay, maybe it is. Maybe it is, beloved. I'm not gonna go back and forth with you. I'm just saying what the book said. I ain't saying whether it's real or it's not. I'm just saying what the book said. That's it. And I'm down to 4%. Do people believe spirit can't pregnate a woman? I never said it did or it didn't. I didn't say that they didn't lay down and have them the regular way. I said whether they did or whether they didn't. If they didn't, then why did they give his lineage through Joseph? Joseph's lineage, according to the Bible, traces all the way back to Abraham, which traces all the way back to Seth, which was the replacement for Abel. The children of Cain were the ones who were supposedly drowned in the flood. If you read the book of Enoch, right? So that's all I'm saying. I'm not saying that I'm not refuting what you're saying. I'm just saying if you believe the story. I always have a habit of saying that. The Freemasons changed the names in the country of the Bible. Okay, maybe they did. But the only thing that I'm saying is these are soul groups. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying it's yay or nay. I'm saying these are soul groups. If you believe the story, how could a man and a woman, Noah and his wife, I forgot her name. Her name wasn't Sarah. There was a lot of Sarahs, but I don't think it was Sarah. But anyway, Noah and his wife. How could Noah and his wife have three sons? And each one of these three sons, if you read the book, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, all three of these people had three different nations. Through Ham came Cush and the Canaanites, right? Through Japheth was the Philistines and all of these other nations you wasn't supposed to deal with, but it was through the son, Shem, which is Shemitic. He's the one who became the father of Abraham, and Abraham, Isaac, and so on and so forth, all the way to Jesus and Joseph and the Israelites. They came through the son Shem. So what I'm explaining and what I'm saying is, how did these three men come from Noah and his wife, if you believe the story, but they all fathered three different nations, totally different nations. Just like Rebecca, when Rebecca gave birth to Judah or Israel, and she gave birth to Esau, which is Edomite. And they jostled in their womb. They were twins. They had the same mother and the same father. And the angel said, they wrestle in your womb because you have two different what? Nations in your womb. How could they become two different nations? They should all be the tribe of Israel because they had the same mother, same father. Same thing with Noah. The reason why is because they came from different spirits. They came from different soul groups. You could be born into a family. You could be born into the Jacksons. Your father could be a Jackson. Your mother could be a Johnson. You may have the spirit of the Joneses. Your great grandfather may be a Joneses. You may be a Jones born into two totally different families because it's of your spirit. And you have a kind nature and you have a relationship with God because you come from that spirit. You were just born into them people. I'm on 2%. It's about to hang up. It's about to hang up on us. So I just want to say peace, love, and light. We reincarnate every 90 years. I think it's a little sooner than that, but at least you on the right page. At least you do know that we do come back to this joint, and we will continue to come back to this joint if we don't find our way out of this firmament or trick our way past the guards at the gate. As long as you know that. Peace, love, and light to y'all. I thank y'all. I thank y'all and I appreciate y'all. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Stay tuned. Peace, love, and light. Peace, 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 beloved. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Share the live out if you can. Like the live. I'll be back on here within a couple of days. I appreciate y'all. I thank y'all. I love y'all. And we still got 1%. Could you come back to do what you said about everyone has their own God? For example, Jesus is God not being the all in all. I didn't say Jesus is God. I said his father. Remember, he didn't speak of a God. He spoke of his father. So I said his father is not the all in all. His father is not the all in all. He didn't have a God. He was a God. His father was a God. He knew about the all in all, the ineffable spirit. He knew about that. He didn't have a God because he kept saying, me and the Father are one. It's because him and the Father and the Holy Spirit are from the same monad of the all in all. He didn't have a God. He was a God. We are the gods. A God is not what we pretended to be. That's just a Greek term that we put on something that we believe is higher than ourselves. But the all in all is not a God. There are many a gods. There are many a gods. The force, aka the source, the all in all, the ineffable one. Read the Gnostic text, the Nag Hammadi, Naghammadi, the Nag Hammadi scriptures. Very powerful. It's very powerful. But if you're not a Bible person and you ain't read it a few times, and the Talmud and a lot of religious scriptures, it might throw you off. But the Nag Hammadi is phenomenal. It is phenomenal. It is a Gnostic text. That's it's from the Essenes. These are the people who Christ went to in Egypt. These are the people who raised Mary up. The stories that are outside of the Bible, who raised Mary to be the prophetess who would give birth to this prophet because they knew. The Essenes knew that Christ was coming. They knew that spirit was coming back to this realm of reality. If you read the Bible, this is why Herod knew. This is what he was worried about. This is what the three wise men, they knew that he was coming. People knew that Christ was coming. You understand what I'm saying? They knew that this consciousness and the oversoul was going to enter into a human body to bring us these messages and these jewels. They knew that. It happens every so often. You understand? And even J. Edgar Hoover, this is why he was so adamant about finding the next Messiah, find the next Messiah, find the next Messiah. They know. They knew that the polarity was shifting. They knew that one would come. I ain't saying that's me. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is they know every so often a monad, a higher self, reincarnates into this physical flesh to leave more souls back to the ineffable one, back to the all in all, and they be knowing that. You understand what I'm saying? And it's And there will be one in this North America, but he probably got a phone in his hand or playing a video game, listening to Lil Durk because we don't know who we are and we don't understand who we are. You understand what I'm saying? The Bible is more symbolic with the lessons and wisdom. The stories are not true, but the knowledge is real. Some of the stories are not true, but believe, best and believe, there's nothing new under the sun. All of those stories happen 1,000 times over because everything is possible. You understand what I'm saying? Everything is possible. The possibilities are emphatically infinite in this realm of reality, in this dimension. Do you believe from the beginning of time, from the Sumerians to the Egyptians, all the way up until the United States of America, that there hasn't been those stories haven't been enacted ever in life? All of those stories never happened? Of course they have. On multiple times, on multiple dimensions and multiple planets and multiple realms and realities. That is a fact. That is a fact. And let's say it never existed. So many people believe in them stories that all these years of believing they may have manifested in a lower or higher dimension because so many people believed in it. Thought patterns are very powerful. Very, very powerful. Trust and believe it. Trust and believe. The Last Jedi, the truth of the Jedi